Hey everybody, how you doing? I hope this Tuesday sheltered in has been good to you, and that you are able to accomplish all that you've set out to do and then some. And this is what, 1 month since we've been shut in. Hey John Davis, how you doing? And John Davis is saying at least they don't sit in cubes next to each other. Good point there. And I have to, because what I have here is I have two sounds. So I have to pick one. I just sort of winked out on me there. Oh, now it's resetting. Dun, dun, dun. And now it's back. So, yeah. So now it's back. How you doing, everybody? Okay, if I turn this up, and now it's back. If I turn this up, I hear me. And maybe. How you doing, everybody? But if I turn this up. Okay. Oh, I know what the problem is. I keep forgetting I have my YouTube channel open too. Duh. All right. There we go. Okay. Which is interesting because now, well, never mind. Whatever. All right. Welcome to the show, folks. And what you're looking at right before you is the first in a series of photographs I was sent today by a Raider fan. And I should post this in the Facebook page, one of the Facebook pages. In fact, I think I will do so. And say, hey, come and join the talk. I mean, I don't care whether you're, for me or against me, or foreign or hisn and foreign, or how Bum Phillips used to put it. You're either, I can take urine and beat hisn, or I can take hisn and beat urine, or something like that. Or, I mean, sideways, it sounds like he's saying something associated with, well, whatever. You get the idea, okay? I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say I'm not going to say that. I will just simply share with you that I was sent these photographs, and they reveal a lot. What you're seeing here is the Al Davis torch section. And take note, among other things, take note of the gentleman on the slight right, and look at what they're doing. They appear to be walking somewhere, right? But look at their distance. It's not such that you could take a tape measure and say, hey, they're 6 feet apart. Okay, 3 feet, 4 feet in one case, 2.5 feet the other, but not 6 feet. And certainly not the other two gentlemen that are standing there. Look like they're about to do, I don't know, some sort of, they're standing there, or maybe they're measuring their heads or Tai Chi, or I don't know. But the whole point is they're definitely within 6 feet of each other. They're not measuring out that. And then this other fellow is just sort of walking wherever he's going to walk. Point is, this is a very casual affair. And social distancing does not seem to be the something that anybody particularly cares to be, trying to do, right? It's just, it's not even a thought. It's no wonder at all that they wanted to close or leave the interior camera off and take the page out. They didn't want anybody to see what was happening for reasons both good and bad. I mean, look, they didn't want anyone to see what was happening because they didn't want to be accused of violating laws. There were things that they were doing they didn't want people to see. Otherwise, fine, show them. Someone the other day came along and said, well, it's really because they took out that camera because they were doing some work. I'm not buying that. If you want people to see things, look, let's put it this way. If the boss says, show them, you're going to show them. And I say that because the cameras are up, but they took that camera out. Okay. They removed it. They could have figured out any kind of way to have some type of camera inside still going. Easy to do. Easy to do. They could have set up a computer, a laptop someplace, anything. All right, but no, they elected not to do it, and they didn't tell people. There was no disclaimer saying, "Well, hey, folks, we removed the interior cam for technical reasons," which would have been a nice cover, right? No, and it goes to my whole assertion that the public relations behind this has been absolutely piss poor. If it were done correctly, they would have thought, we don't want some guy like Zinni to point out that we're doing something wrong. So why don't we just simply put up this risk management disclaimer that says, hey, we are we're taking the interior cam down because of technical issues, or something like that. Technical issues would have been enough, okay? Regardless of what they were. And if someone asks what the technical issues were, tell them that the fear was that there would be debris coming down that would damage these devices, and that was one other minor headache they felt they could do without. So there. Instead, we will give you these still pictures, right? Something to feed the flock as the process of building the stadium is continuing. But no, not at all. They didn't do that. That wasn't even in the cards. That wasn't something that anyone wanted to do. No. Instead, what was done simply was, hey, they took it down, okay? They took it down. Period, end of story. That's what was done. So now, the question now is that, and the reports are that the Nevada Occupational Safety and Health organization is not happy at all with what's going on. And so they apparently were to step in and do something, but we'll see if that actually happens. As I told Chris Fly Lopez when he posted this on Facebook, I wrote, do they have the stones to do anything? Because they've saber rattled like this before 2 weeks ago, and yet nothing. And hey, the beat goes on, right? Because the show must go on. The stadium must be built and finished, even though the Raiders have not denied the Forbes story that they're looking someplace else. Let me tell you something about that. And while I tell you something about that, let me switch to the next photograph here, okay? And add to this. And let me feed the flock with more photographs. By the way, I want you to have a look at. Oh, I want to let you know this. That there it is. This is a beautiful shot. Okay, right here of the stadium. Okay, this is quite interesting. This is the stadium in full. Another photograph. You can see how much progress has been made. Most notably, the dirt has been replaced by a hard surface floor, okay? And it looks like the upper tier seats have been, for the most part, installed. But if you take a look back, and let me see if I can enlarge, I can, get us closer here in some kind of way. Let me see if I can bring us closer. And put this, as I say, better. Okay. Let's see here. That's the one that you're looking at. If I can move in like that. Yeah. Okay. So I'm moving in there. And yeah. So as you can see, the upper portion of it, there's still work that has to be done over the 400 level. And if you take another look, let's get a little bit closer here and get a little bit of a tighter look at that area that is where the roof is. Let's just go like that, okay? And we can't quite move up, or can we? Maybe, let's see here. It's not letting us move. It's not letting me move up. Yeah, it is. There it is. Okay, now, you see that? And you can see how much finish has to be done there. There's quite a bit of work there between the roof and the truss and the area just above the 400 level and all of that curtain wall lattice work, if you will. So, but you can see that they put the seats in. They have not gotten to the lower bowl seats. There's about a good 4 to 5 months worth of work that's still remaining to be done here. The EFTE roof is coming in place. It is not done, and it looks like it's pretty much on track to be finished in May, as was predicted. So you're getting a taste of the vast arena, the vast, large scale event center that Las Vegas has always wanted to have. Unfortunately, because of this pandemic, we're not going to see anything happen in that thing. That's just my prediction. Okay. And the reason is that, let's take, first of all, the Raiders' admission that they're having me look someplace else to play games. Okay, fine. But let's stop right there. All right. Such items as game days and game expenses must be paid by someone. Will El Paso pay those? And with what money? Will San Antonio, and with what money? Do the Raiders have a special game day slush fund to use on a multi-game basis? What does that come to? That comes to $1 million a game, actually $1 million a game, now a little more north of that. But I digress. The point is, do they have that slush fund? If it's an entire season, it comes to $9 million. With their sponsorship monies having dried up, can they afford to do that? Can they afford to do something that they normally expect to have the money to do in Las Vegas? But not only is Las Vegas not ready, but the pandemic has made their financial balance sheet uncertain. Why? They haven't sold their season tickets. So the Raiders are talking about playing these games. They've extended out the season ticket purchase deadline until July 3rd, excuse me. And the reason they did is because people don't have the money to buy them. And I know there's this rush to reopen and everything, but we don't have a vaccine for this. We don't have a vaccine. I repeat, we don't have a vaccine. I will say one more time. We don't have a vaccine. Now, let me show you another picture here that's part of this, okay? And stop screen there. Share screen. And I believe, let's see here. These are, well, actually, I think you've seen that. Not that you've seen that. I thought I'd post these worker rules, by the way. They read as follows. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not readily available, use a hand sanitizer. Cough or sneeze into the crook of your elbow. Yuck. How about, and then it reads, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Maintain a minimum of 6 foot distance between people whenever possible. And we saw in this photograph that it was possible to do so. And what photograph was that? That was this. Hold on. This one. Right here. Okay. There. Okay. That's a lot of room to allow a 6 foot distance. And yet they're not doing it. They're not doing it. Okay. But if you don't buy the idea that the stadium is not going to be ready and the season's not happening and the economy is weak, and it's going to take a long time for Las Vegas to come back, unfortunately and sadly, let me present this to you. It's something that you should see. One moment, please. This comes from what I'm about to show you, the Las Vegas Review Journal, not the Review Journal. It comes from the Nevada Independent, which is a great publication by a guy named John Ralston. And here it presents the man that you're about to see here. That man. His name is Stephen Hill. Stephen Hill is the executive director of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Bureau, a legend in economic development circles nationally, a legend in the state of Nevada. He was also the chair of the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Committee. He was also, and still is, the chair of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. A man I hold as a giant, okay, and in economic development. And so my respect for Stephen Hill has never wavered, ever. Now, he's giving a presentation here of unfortunately, some very sad news, okay? And it goes like this. The title is obvious. It's Tourism Agency Chief Outlines Financial Projections, Budget Cuts Amid COVID-19. Okay, this is by Jackie Valley. And what it repeats it says, during a meeting conducted by telephone Tuesday, the Tourism Agency Board of Directors approved a $79 million cut to the fiscal year 2020 budget, including staff layoffs and furloughs. The pandemic, which has essentially halted tourism, makes budgeting for fiscal year 2021 difficult given the health and economic variables at play, the chief said, Stephen Hill, to the board of directors. The agency had been projecting a little more than $300 million in room tax revenue collection during the next fiscal year, along with $60 million in building revenue. Now, Hill said, the tourism agency, which has been working with the consulting applied analysis, local governments, and industry leaders, expects only $100 million to $120 million in room tax revenue collection at best. He said projections within that range will likely appear on a fiscal year 2021 budget presented to the board in May. Now, if you're wondering what that $120 million, okay, will look like with respect to revenue for the stadium and in terms of room tax revenue collection, well, basically, if he's expecting, let's say, 100 million, right? That would come to, excuse me. That should come to. Let's see here. Yeah. That would come to a grand total of $8,800,000 for the year. Now, to put things in perspective, for the stadium, all right. To put things in perspective for the stadium, let's do some quick math. I said that's 8 million, and pay attention, please. Said it's $8,800,000, right? Okay. You go back here, get your attention here for a bit. Let me enlarge my screen here. Okay, look, that's $8,800,000 for the entire fiscal year. Hey, everybody, for the entire fiscal year. Okay. Again, $8,800,000 for the entire fiscal year. That's the revenue they expect. This is what they get normally for the fiscal year on average. $4.2 million okay, times 12, or roughly 50.4 million. So they would normally expect roughly $50.4 million for a fiscal year for the stadium. So that means 50.4 million minus 8.8. That's a $41.6 million loss. Repeat, that is a $41.6 million loss. Put that on Twitter somewhere, folks, because you're not going to see it anyplace else. That is a $41.6 million loss. Now, what does that do with respect to the debt service reserve? Does this, okay? The debt service reserve is roughly 56.8 million, all right, minus 41 million. That's leaves you with 15.8 million in the reserve after just a year. So basically that means you've got effectively 2 months more, 2 or 3 months more reserve money. That's it. After the fiscal year. That's quite a burn. That's quite a burn, okay? So you just arrived, you want me to do that exercise again? Let me explain what I was showing everybody. Stephen Hill, right here, sharing the screen again, who is, as you know, the boss of there's Mr. Hill. He is the boss of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. Arguably, if you like, a second mayor of Las Vegas, right? Gave a presentation to the board of directors by telephone and explained, and the board of directors approved a $79 million budget cut, including staff layoffs and furloughs. Normally, they would expect $300 million in room tax revenue, but now they're expecting maybe 100 million to 120 million. So let's say at 100 million at the low end, times the tax rate of 88/100ths of 1%, comes to just $8.8 million. That's it. All right. 8.8 million. So normally 50.4 million in room tax revenue is gained if you take $4.2 million average per month times 12 months in a fiscal year. So obviously, you take that $41.8 million loss, multiply minus the 56.8 million, you get the $15 million deficit difference. But it's a $41 million loss. 41 million. Okay. Brian Caldwell says, so they're in worse shape than what you were saying based on those numbers. Yeah, because, and this comes from Stephen Hill. They are in worse shape. They are by the end of the fiscal year, they will see a near depletion of the debt service reserve for the stadium bonds. That's what they're looking at. That's what they're looking at. The only thing that could save them, and it's a good thing that they formed in this task force, is a government bailout. The only question is, how much will it be? And will it be such that can reach down and apply to the stadium itself? Given that Sheldon Adelson is on the panel, that's a possibility. You would say, what are you talking about, Zenny? Well, let me explain. The President of the United States sent me an email through the White House Office of the Press Secretary, because Zenny 62 Media has been on the White House press list since 2012. Something called the Great American. Oh, heck, I'll just put this in so you can see it rather than have to imagine what I'm talking about, right? That's not quite fair. I got the tech. Here's the tech, all right? This is what I'm going to share with you. This is from the White House. There it is, White House Office of the Press Secretary. Voila. Okay, I put that in a special document because I want to give away emails and all that stuff, right? So, this is, if I can get a close-up here, this is all possible. 100%, 150%. Yeah, there we go. Okay, you can see that better. All right. And it's called the Great American Economic Revival Industry Groups. All right. And to cut to the chase for the interest of presentation, that's the agriculture. This is banking, construction, labor force, defense, energy, financial services, food and beverage, healthcare, hospitality. Let's go back up there. Las Vegas Sands, Sheldon Adelson, Marriott, Arne Sorensen, Carnival, Mickey Arnson, Hilton, Christopher Nasseta, Hyatt, Mark Hopalamazian, Wyndham Resorts and Hotels, Jeff Bellotti, Intercontinental Hotel Group, Eli Malouf, Royal Caribbean, Richard Fain, and Norwegian Cruise Lines, Frank Del Rio. Any relation to Jack? Don't know. So Las Vegas stands a great shot of getting the assistance it needs with him there, all right? Also, let's see if we can find, there's tech, just FYI, there's Apple, Google, Oracle, twice, Salesforce, Mark Benioff, SAP, Microsoft, Facebook, Mark, IBM, Intel, Qualcomm, Cisco, Advanced Micro Devices, Broadcom, Micron. There's telecom, Liberty Media. There's transportation, and here's sports. And look at the list. Look at the list. The NFL technically is represented twice. You've got Adam Silver, Rob Manfred, Roger Goodell, Dana White, Jay Monahan representing the PGA, Mike Wan representing the LPGA, Patrick Galbraith representing USTA, MLS is represented by Don Garber, WWE is Vince McMahon, NASCAR is Laser Kennedy, NHL is Gary Beckman, the New England Patriots, Bob Kraft, the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, the Dallas Mavericks, Mark Cuban, Kathy Engelhart represents the WNBA, and Lisa Baird is the NWSL, all right? So the NFL's got a lot of bites at the apple to get the assistance it needs to possibly have a 2020 season. We'll see. Definitely have a 2021 season, without question. So there's that, all right? Then they have thought groups and leader groups. That's John Allison, K. Cole James, Condoleezza Rice, Art Laffer. Art Laffer? Art Laffer? Steve Forbes, Larry Lindsay, Catherine Reynolds, Jim DeMint, Bill Haggerty, Scott Gottlieb, and I should write my name in, Xenophon Abraham. Art Laffer? What? If you're going to have a thought group, leader group like that, heck, put me on it, okay? I'm sorry, just put me on it. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry. All right. Okay. Boy. It pays to be king, in this case, president, all right? Now, we've got, see if they got any questions before I continue. Anyone have, let me go get to your comments. I'll work backward. John Mark says, what are the chances they won't have sports in 2020? Well, I think the person that will have the definitive answer to that is our guest this Friday at 3 o'clock Pacific, Dan Rasher. He is the academic director of the sport management program at the University of San Francisco. And a few moons ago, the co-founder of Sport Business Simulations with me, CEO, Chief Marketing Officer, he. But I digress. Dan will be on from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock Pacific, and we're going to talk specifically about that. Okay? That's exactly what we're going to talk about, John. So I don't want to but I would say myself that the chances are not, I won't say none, but I will definitely say slim. Okay, slim. We've got to find, and I think people don't seem to understand in some cases, we got to find a cure for this thing. We have to find a vaccine for this thing before we can even dream of going out again. A. B, as I said the other night, we have to do more than just put a Band-Aid on this economy. We have to prop it up. And that's going to take more expenditures faster. I haven't gotten my business stimulus check. A lot of people haven't gotten anything either, their deposits, right? So what's going on, right? What's going on? There's all this, well, they're getting them. And I don't hear anybody yelping and jumping and like, yeah, right? What's going on? John Marks says he'll be there. Bible study says, my thoughts, very slim that sports will be canceled for 2020. Hey, wait a minute, Bible study. Hold on a second. Here's the deal, okay? I think maybe you meant to say the opposite because, hey, the Indoor Football League season 2020 has been canceled. The NBA season has been canceled. Major League Baseball canceled, okay? So there have been a lot of cancellations already. So what you mean down the line is, will the NFL be canceled? And that's kind of a coin flip. But I would be very shocked if the NFL were able to field a complete normal season this year. I can't see it happening at all. John Marks says, there you go, John Marks. But Dan Rasher will weigh in, and Dan will have, I think, a definitive statement on that. Newsmaking. So, Bible study asks, it says he's good, and he says he's chatting on his phone, watching the live stream. I'm working backward through the comments here, and let's see, I'm using StreamMate and trying to go up here, and there's Bible study says I'm good, right? John Marks, right? See, you can have these highlights like that, right? It's pretty cool. But the only thing about it is I can't seem to scroll back. There I can scroll back, okay? And Brian Carwells, who is a Las Vegas denizen, if there ever was one, writes, I have a lot of insight on the hotel numbers in Las Vegas right now, and they are not going to get to that $100 million number. Hey, Brian, can I send you a link to elaborate on that, either by phone or by voice? I'm going to send you a link via Facebook Messenger if you want to, use your cam to chime in to stream. That would be fantastic. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find you there. And there you are. Okay. And let's see here. If I can click on that. And then click on this. And I'm going to write invite there. Boom. There's your invite. So I will know that you're able to come in if I hear the appropriate cling, okay? Because Brian writes something. He says, he also writes this. He writes, so they are in worse shape. This is the question he asked. So they're in worse shape than what you're saying based on those numbers. And then he followed with, I have a lot of insight on the hotel numbers in Las Vegas right now, and they are not going to get to that $100 million number. And I would love to, if you would call in and inform us. And then we have John Marks asking, John Marks asks, why is he playing around with the workers' lives? Great question. He followed up. He said, prior to that, Steve Sisolak should be scared. Quentin, how you doing? Saying hello to you. How you doing, man? And this is the hello stage. Everyone's in the hello stage. John Akala writes, the governor is scared to stop the construction, but I think he'll probably get a lot of pushback. Oh, and we have our guest added to the stream. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Zinni? How are you?
Oh, pretty good, man. Great to have you aboard. Welcome. Yes. This is the legendary Brian Cobbles. Brian, how's every little?
I've known you for a long time, Zinni. What's going on?
It's been a long time. It's been too long. Got to make this a more casual affair.
You in Atlanta today?
How's life in Fres? Are you Fresno, right?
Yeah, Fresno. I moved to Fresno about a year ago. So
Nice.
it's good. Just staying at home.
Hey,
Doing the
we're
stay at
all
home thing. What are you gonna do?
yeah, we're all what is I? We're all sheltered as it were. Hey, so tell
Are you in Are you in Atlanta right now?
suburban Atlanta. Yeah, we're 50 miles out. So we
I used,
are.
I lived in Atlanta for 3 years. A long time.
How'd you like it?
I liked it. But, living in California my whole life, and
Mhm.
then I lived in 3 years in Atlanta. It's just a lot different.
Oh,
But the
well,
people are so friendly in Atlanta.
they are friendly. It's like, although I
Yeah.
have to say, there's a thing about it being hard to make friends here. And I remember I first encountered that when I was at a TV show here called Vid Blogger Atlanta, which is part of this national thing. And um, there was a segment I was to do. They pre-select the names of the episodes for you. It was called BFF or Best Friend Atlanta, right?
Mhm.
And what I found in talking to people is, and these folks didn't know each other from, uh, uh, and they all said to a person, and this is on video, about how hard it was to make lasting friendships in Atlanta. And I think the reason is, I don't want to belabor this too much, but
Yeah.
it's a show unto itself to talk about it, but it's transient.
Mhm. Yeah.
All the people that I know that I got involved with because I decided to get involved in social media here, all of them are gone.
Yeah.
Victoria's in Boston. Yeah, they're all scattered. I mean, they scattered like within 2 years.
Yeah.
So one person would start this group, like in a social media group, and she had these gatherings, and she had these gatherings at this great pub in Midtown, and then nothing, gone.
Mhm.
And I don't know what anyone's doing now. I should check into it. Hey, but
Anyway, sorry
oh,
to
no,
be
no,
off
no.
topic.
Let me pull this up here real quick because I want to get up this. I want to get you up here, and then I want to come down here and highlight your comment, and it's this one. And you're right. You say I have a lot of insight on the hotel numbers in Las Vegas right
Yeah.
now, and they are not going to get to that $100 million number. Hey, can you tell people what you do that puts you in that position?
Yeah. So I'm a regional revenue manager. I work for Wyndham Hotels Group. So Jeff Bellotti is my guy. He's on your list there for
Yeah.
of
Hey,
people.
shout out to Wyndham.
Yeah. So and Las Vegas is one of my markets. So I cover the market. My territories are California and Las Vegas. That's my territories with Wyndham. And it's the only part of Nevada I have is Las Vegas. And things are bad. Things are so everywhere in the hotel industry. Things are pretty bad. Occupancy is just taken just a gigantic hit. There's zero people are traveling. So the only types of business that we have right now in the hotel business in any of my hotels is like doctors and nurses who are traveling. And then like the truck drivers and the railroad crews and things like that. But as far as like business travel or like any kind of like there's no leisure travel. Like people are not going on vacation right now, right? There's nothing open, and they're not going to really risk that. So we don't really have any of that kind of business right now. And speaking of Las Vegas, so I have a few hotels in Las Vegas. I have one hotel that's actually literally blocks, not even blocks, a block or two from the stadium. And it's funny because I'll get back into the hotel numbers in a second, but the owner of the hotel, he drives by that stadium every day. He actually lives in Los Angeles, but he's been in Vegas for the last couple of weeks because of just to try to help out the hotel, because it's so slow. So he's been driving by that stadium like every day, and he goes by there and he sends me pictures of groups of hundreds of people just standing around like eating lunch, like in a big circle. It's
Oh.
Anyway. I digress.
No, that's an important point. It's important information, though. Keep going. This is your platform, man. Go for it.
And so anyway,
Gives me a chance to wet my whistle.
no problem. So what I'm saying about the hotel numbers is that aside from us being very slow right now, and basically the Las Vegas Strip is shut down. I mean, those hotels aren't even open, right? So they're completely closed. I understand that some of the hotels in the Las Vegas Strip are housing some of the emergency medical people who are in the Las Vegas area, to work in the hospitals and for all the extra staffing, because there's a lot of extra staffing that's going on right now in hospitals, obviously. And so I think some of those hotels are open, housing those people, but there's no revenue. They're just allowing them to stay in those properties. You know, it's an amazing gesture, right, by these hotels that are allowing these doctors and nurses to stay at their hotels for no cost. But back to the point of revenue, that doesn't help the tax revenue, because it's a zero revenue. So there's no revenue on that that's there right now. So that's the only thing on the Strip, and we're talking about the Las Vegas Strip that has, that section of the street has the most hotel rooms of any of the world, right there in the Las Vegas Strip. So with them being completely dark, and it's been a month, we're going on a month now, those hotels have been completely shut down with zero revenue coming in. So now you're talking about the other hotels that are around Las Vegas, like the hotels that you think of in other cities, the Holiday Inn Expresses, the La Quintas, the Fairfields, the Hiltons, all those properties, the Hamptons. And so those hotels are pretty much open, but a lot of those hotels have also closed in Las Vegas. There's a few Hamptons that have closed. I know that there's a Holiday Inn Express that's near Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas that's closed, completely shut their doors for now, because there's no business for them. So they can't operate with no revenue. I think that, and I'll go back to some of the other Las Vegas things, but I think one thing that sometimes gets lost in people's thinking is, if you're driving around and you see a Holiday Inn Express, or you see a La Quinta, or you see a Hampton, or any of these major chain hotels, you're like, oh, well, it's a big chain, I mean, it's going to be fine. Same thing, you think of that, like same thing like the restaurant industry, McDonald's and Taco Bell. But what I think people forget a lot of times is that these hotels are just individual people who own them and are part of the franchise community, but they're just small business owners. It's a great, and so you see a Holiday Inn Express, a La Quinta, Fairfield, whatever. It's just some guy owns that hotel, and it might be the only thing he does. That's his source of revenue too. So it's not that maybe that they're going to be okay because they're the Fairfield or the Hampton. These are small business people who are part of franchises. The same, like I was saying, same thing with like McDonald's and Taco Bell. And I 100% support people supporting local business right now, because it's, you really need to try to keep the local people in business. But one thing that people have to also kind of remember is that McDonald's, for the most part, is probably also a local business. Because it's employing people who live in your community, and the people who own it are probably people from your community. But I just want to make that point. But kind of going back to the numbers with Las Vegas, so also some of the things that we're seeing is that if like EDC, for example, which I don't know if everybody knows, but EDC is a huge music festival that takes place in Las Vegas. I'm sorry, what?
200,000.
Yeah, I was told yesterday, I don't know if this is true, but I was told yesterday that event is held at the Las Vegas Speedway. And I was told yesterday that event alone makes more revenue than all of the other Las Vegas Speedway events for the year. That they make more revenue for EDC, makes more revenue than all the other events combined, including NASCAR. I don't know if that's true, but that's what one of my hotel owners told me. But that event is in May every year. It should be coming up. It's the third weekend of May every year. That is a huge event. Like you're saying, 200,000 people. The entire city of Las Vegas sells out every hotel, and the rates are way jacked up. So obviously higher rates, higher tax dollars. Well, that event has been moved to October. They postponed it recently to October, and you might say, well, then it's cool because it's still going to happen. It's going to happen in October, but it's not exactly going to play out like it would have if it had been in May, because what happened is the event organizers were very late in kind of announcing that they were going to move the event. They've just been putting it off, saying, we're going to make an announcement. We're going to make an announcement. We're not comfortable changing it until we have all the details. So they had said that they were going to make an announcement yesterday on April 13th, which was 1 month prior to the event. but they were kind of forced into making an announcement earlier, which happened last week. But what happened is that behind the scenes, they made the decision to move that event to October, but they didn't announce it to the public. But they announced it. They let everybody know who was a part of the event. So some people underground got word before it was announced to everybody else. And so what ends up happening is, I believe that someone sent out like a tweet, and there's no way that you would ever see this.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember seeing a tweet. But go ahead.
There's no way that you would ever see this unless you were a part of the crowd, unless you're a part of the organization. Mm-hmm. And so what ended up happening was that all of the hotel rooms in Las Vegas, because this person tweeted it out before it was made public, all of the attendees knew, and they went and booked all the rooms immediately before hotels had a chance to react to the pricing. So the prices are all very low. So again, going back to the tax money, yes, that event is going to happen, but the tax revenue from that event is going to be way less because the people are paying. I'm talking like $200 to $300 a night less than what they would have been paying.
Quick question: Was that Vital Vegas on Twitter who did that?
It was. I don't know who sent out the original tweet because I never saw it, because it was. I only saw. The only reason I knew about it that very day, because the actual organizers of the event, they didn't actually tweet it out until the next day. But the only reason that I knew about it was because one of my hotels calls me and says, "Hey, what is going on in October? We just completely sold out." And then I started doing some research, and I found I'm not sure who it was. I don't remember, but I found that they had moved the dates and they didn't make it public until the next day. So it just things like that. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of hotel rooms that are priced $200 less than they normally would have been. The tax on that that's a huge number. That's a huge number. And I was talking to one of my hotels today, and I was like, "Is there any word from have you heard? Is there any word from the mayor, from the governor, from anything in Las Vegas as far as what their plans are? Is there plans?" I know California today had a press conference with some plans about steps that needed to happen in order to kind of try to start to open business back as normal, but they said no, that they just don't know. There's just there's nothing really being said, and that they're not really being told anything. And so who knows how long this is going to last. Let's say that I don't know when the casinos are planning on opening. Someone told me they were planning on opening on May 1st, but there's no way, right? I mean, it's April 14th. There's no way. So if you go another month, right? So then you'll be what, 3 months in with zero tax revenue from the Strip? How are they ever going to get to the 100 million? I mean, that's a great. I think that the him saying that they're going to get that they want to get to 100 million is based on opening on May 1st, but there's no way. I mean, if anybody thinks that the Las Vegas Strip is all of a sudden going to come to life and everyone's going to come back and travel to Vegas on May 1st, you got another thing coming. There's no way.
That leads me to a question about, because I've covered CES in Vegas for 10 years, and I love Vegas.
Yeah.
And I have to say, one thing that really saddens me is the vast number of people that I've come to know, in particular, work with Valencell, which is a kind of off-market medical tech company that I've covered for the last 7 years. And there are these booth hosts and hostesses, but the hostess in particular, one of them, Kristen, she's a model who you may have seen her face on some of the casino pinball machines, but they're able to pick up this, seasonal work, right?
Yeah.
Different, and now that's gone.
Yeah.
And
there's no conventions. There's nothing going on right there.
No. Another friend worked for Cirque du Soleil. She was also part of Valencell. She was also a Raiderette, and who I have on the Zenny 62. And I haven't reached out to her to find out how she's doing, but she just had a baby with her husband that she met in Vegas, and they got married. And I'm now fearing for them. I'm thinking, wow, what's going on, and how are they doing? How they have to make it along. And that's what comes to mind for me, is because all these have been fantastic people that come be good friends. They always ask if I'm coming to CES, and it's sad. Or if it's not them, it's a person I came to know works for Hakkasan, and she's a director of sales, restaurant sales. And now I'm thinking, I think she might have been one of the people that got furloughed. So it just hurts. It hurts. It hurts. Just
Hey,
saying.
what do you think about? I'm sorry to monopolize your show here. What do you think about CES next year changing their dates to a weekend? I think
that's
I don't think I think it's an interesting move on their part. I think that from my standpoint in the hotel business, it was better off to have it weekdays. But
yeah.
I don't know how you feel about it.
Well, it's the first I've gotten wind of it because my attention wasn't in that direction. They may have sent me an email that I didn't pay attention to, because I normally sign up for my press stuff about 3 months from now, 3 or 4 months. This is April. Yeah. So, but having just gotten the wind of it, what dates were they selecting?
They selected. It's that same week, but normally, it's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
It starts at Sunday.
Yes.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, so it's the exact same week that it was last year, but this year it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Ah.
Yeah, so it's going to go over a weekend, which presents an interesting dilemma.
I have a theory.
I was just gonna say, it presents an interesting dilemma. I'm not saying that the Raiders would be good or be but that's a potential Raider home playoff game if they were in the playoffs. Like, that would be a crazy. But I don't know. Yeah, why do you think they did that?
Off the top of my head, I think CES has been, as you know, perennially a cash cow for Las Vegas.
Yeah, biggest convention.
So what happens? I go in on Sunday. Why? Because it's press preview day is Monday. Sunday, as I fly standby and also get cheaper hotel rates, I do better if I go in Sunday rather than, say, go in on Tuesday when things get started, right?
Yeah.
A number of people this time were going in on Tuesday. They would stay until Thursday and leave because, as you pointed out, and as you know, it's the habit, the rates tend to go up when event CES comes to town. I think that what they're trying to do is they're trying to engineer where they can recoup as much money for the hotels as quickly as possible, knowing the CES is really a week-long affair if the rates are right. And so calculatively, I don't see the rates coming back to where they were this year.
No, there's no way. There's no way.
Which would then, in theory, I'm just theorizing, in theory, make it an affair where you would go in that Sunday, have your meetings, and Monday, and you wind up staying the week, which benefits Las Vegas. That's just that is my thought, because I know Gary Shapiro, and I have to reach out to him and ask why that is. But I know Gary Shapiro has been very supportive of the Strip, and he's extremely political. For example, he had Ivanka Trump, and he pulled the rabbit out of his hat, and I was like, wow. And it was to be there. He took a lot of risks, and then Ivanka's father decided to clear on Iran the Friday before CES, and I had a pass to go to hear her speak, and I'm thinking, man, that's a target on my back, pal. And Twitter got mad at me for putting it out. I said, screw you, God, not anything, so I'm still dealing with that. So it's like, but my point is that CES is so important to so many people that my theory is that they're trying to really milk it for the week.
Yeah.
No, that's just my theory. What do you think?
That's probably correct. That's probably correct.
Hey, let me ask you too, how long, because I have to say, one thing I love about Vegas are the people. Like, there's a guy at Harrah's named Ari that really helped me and my mom. And Vegas is about quintessentially selling, right? But at what point do they stop this rhetoric that's seeped into the stadium discussion where everything is rosy and okay, as opposed to, you know what, this is more than Vegas strong. This needs like Vegas get it out on life support, right?
Yeah.
When does that kick in? When does it kick in where Vegas says, you know what, we need help?
Well, where's Steve Sisolak? I haven't heard anything from him. What's his where is he? Like I haven't heard any statements or really anything from him.
I
So
think
like, I think it starts with him, doesn't it?
it does. He's been. I don't want to mischaracterize him as being not present. He's been on CN out here, but his focus has been talking about the need to be sheltered in place, the possibility of tightening controls. He hasn't dealt with the stadium issue directly yet, at least to my knowledge. I haven't double checked, but
There was that tweet that I sent to you on your page, and you like said step back just a second, basically because it actually turned out to be completely false. You just never know on Twitter, but the one that was talking about Mark Davis is on the phone with Sisolak right now. I don't think that any of that was true, but
oh, I came from Las Vegas locally, and sometimes I think, Las Vegas locally we blocked each other because they're being derisive of me, and that's the thing I don't like. Is I don't know how many times I have to say this. I have nothing against Vegas or the people. I just don't like the situation, that happened. But that's what can you do? That's right. That's in the past. It hasn't changed my business the way that I do business or anything else. But I digress. My point is, they're one of the people that, without even knowing me, decided they were going to literally take up a point of view against me. And then when they met me, like when Tommy White met me, we had a great time because I'm not wearing this. I'm not wearing this personally. I don't know these folks. And that's what I'm getting at. A lot of the people that I met that are in Vegas have been outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and so when I think of Las Vegas locally, I think of being flamed by them. And I think sometimes what they do, just from my perspective, is I think they put things out there thinking that a person like me that has a large media broadcasting will put it out there just to have it wrong. All right, let's flip this trial balloon and see if Zinni does anything with it. There are people who do that. And I'm hip to it, and so I don't bite. And in that instance, when I first got wind of it, I thought, I'm gonna sit back and wait because I considered the source. That's why. I said it's Las Vegas locally. I'm gonna back off. I think, however, reading between the lines, I think it would not surprise me just to take myself out of the equation and that relationship and come from another perspective and defend Las Vegas locally. It would not surprise me if that may have been true. Someone else stepped in and said, you don't want to do that for this, and this reason. And so it was a reversal, right? And the reason why I say that, Brian, is somebody back there is pulling the strings. Someone's pulling the governor's string. Is it? I think it is Adelson.
Maybe, but
what do you think?
But at what point do you? I mean, like, set everything aside. At what point do you look at it and realize how terrible the optics are? It's a terrible look, right?
It is. I mean, yeah. But that's
like everyone's sitting at home doing nothing. I'm looking out my window. It's like we're not supposed to go outside and stuff, And then you've got these construction guys sitting there. 300 of them sitting there eating lunch so they can build a football stadium. Who cares about a football stadium right now? Like, the optics are terrible.
It'll be even worse if they wind up using that thing to house people into a makeshift hospital. That's my fear. Okay, my thought is, keep building it. Because like right here in Atlanta, we have the Georgia's World Congress Center, which was just converted into a 200-bed hospital. Yeah. So when they build a facility of that size, and I'm looking and I'm thinking, you know what? That's going to be a hospital.
Yeah.
The way things are going. Even if it's not a hospital for Nevada, it could be an overflow hospital for someplace else.
Yeah, it just looks terrible. It looks terrible.
And that's what I'm getting at. It's like, for some reason, there's this, like, I know there are people who are actually paid to go on social media and put out these positive things, and the Raiders have paid them. The Raiders paid Scott Winter, I know, because Scott Winter told me. Then they fired Scott Winter, I know, because Scott Winter told me he got fired. Then, Vinny Bonsiori is working for the Raiders, I know, because a relative of his told me. And the Raiders are driving this. But my point is, the dangerous part about that kind of a strategy is as you said, they wind up looking, it's the optics look really, really bad when you're in a situation like this where it's uncharted, A, and B, unpredictable because it's uncharted. Nobody's ever been here before. We've never been through a real pandemic. And yeah, swine flu, sure. H1N1 didn't touch either me or you. But this one's affecting all of our lives.
Yeah.
And
Doesn't anybody from the Raiders, Mark Bedane, Mark Davis, don't any of them look at it and go, oh man, this could backfire on us continuing the progress of the stadium. People could be like, oh well, I can't go out to the grocery store, but the Raiders can build their stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't anybody? They don't even consider that.
I think I'm going to put a hypothesis. I'm going to say I believe Bedane does, but I think Mark Davis is stuck between a rock and a hard place. And Bedane is sensible. Not to say that Mark Davis is not, but I've known Mark Bedane in particular for a long time, and I know there's certain people who are formerly with the Raiders now who would disagree for personal reasons of their own. I'm not going to name names, but they are former leaders, and if I said it like that, I think you might kind of get a hint of who
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Enough said. Okay. But hey, look, he was a party friend with Mark, and so they kind of grew up together, right?
Mm-hmm.
My point is, I know he's hurting, okay, but and they're stuck. They're stuck politically, they're stuck philosophically, they're stuck financially. Because think about it, if they had stayed in the Bay Area, as I wonder why they just didn't do, and concluded,
you and me both.
Mark could have got into Mark could have went over to had a meeting with Tim Cook or invited him to a Raiders game. Larry Page and Sergey Brin of Google. The tech community was on his doorstep. Benioff over there going to the Warriors games. He could have snagged Benioff at a Warriors game and had somewhere along the lines of the kind of sponsorship group that Joe Lacob had, for
the Chase Center.
For Chase Center.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason it couldn't not have happened for the Raiders at the Coliseum, right? In a new facility. No reason. There's no reason Ronnie Lott couldn't have done it. My point is that Mark and I think Jerry Jones and I think the NFL was sort of dragged along by Jerry. In fact, I know the NFL was. All right. Mm-hmm. But I think they all saw Vegas has showman. Look, I love Las Vegas, but the simple fact of the matter is there are some truths. For example, along the Strip, the per capita income is something like $14,000 for the workers.
Yeah.
It's really low, $14,000 to $17,000. Okay. It's low. And the fact of the matter is that when you're talking about a place like Las Vegas that's built on hospitality and taking care of people in a good way. I'll get to what I mean by the good way in a second, because it's a fun way. And then when I say this, I think it'll really resonate when I tell you. It's like, oh yeah, right. But the other aspect of it is the show money. You think because everybody is ostentatious and there's Liberace and, I grew up with a Rat Pack and my mom and my stepdad like to gamble and my mom's gotten great rooms at the Wynn and I've gotten a great room at the Venetian, and right, we've all had this great fun. So because of that, I think that Jerry Jones and Sheldon Adelson, who really wanted in on the NFL and saw the future, he saw the declining future because of the internet and gambling, and wanted to bring in sports. That was really his vision. But I think they really got caught with show money to the point where, and I believe the NFL has made a mistake in underestimating the power of the tech community. And I say this from personal conversations with people whose names I'm not going to drop, but my estimation of them is that for reasons I think best known to them, I don't completely understand. I think they've really discounted the tech community and its ability to raise money worldwide and command. And they really are the Detroit of the 21st century. You don't turn your back on the Detroit of the 21st century. And when we talk about the Detroit of the 21st century, where is Detroit? It's not in Las Vegas. It's in the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
So, there's no way of getting around that. The Bay Area is responsible for 2/3 of California's economy. California has the 5th largest economy in the world. Mm-hmm. So they walked away from that for show money.
Yeah. Well, the other concern that I would have about the stadium in Las Vegas is that Vegas is all about the next new shiny thing, right?
Yes.
That's going to be the next new shiny thing until the next new shiny thing comes along.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I'm gonna scroll down, see if there's any comments here. But about
I feel bad for monopolizing your show here, but
no, you're the guest. No, this is what's beautiful. No, you don't. No, I asked you on here because I know you said not just the comment, but you were talking about hotels, and I realized, what? I think my pea brain doesn't have a clear view of what he does, and I think once I did, there'd be a lot of synergies in terms of people that we know, or things, right? And I was right.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, this is like magic, man. This is quite literally in having you on lightning in a bottle. So this is for another time, but I used to work for Sheldon Adelson at the Venetian. How was he? What's he like as a person?
He's not a very friendly, approachable guy, but we'll leave it at that.
Is it because, I want you to say anything bad about him, but it's just like,
I don't have anything bad to say about him.
I admire, I'll put it this way. As a person whose background is urban planning, I've always admired what he did for Las Vegas. Okay. Mm-hmm. And he and I admire people in business who are not afraid to think big and then execute. And he's one of those people. Now, I haven't had a chance to be like, do you know Andy Aboud by chance, his PR guy?
Yeah, I do.
Is he? How is he? He seems like an interesting dude.
Yeah, he's pretty much all the people in the higher ups at Venetian Palazzo Group are they're all interesting. Everybody in those VP and up positions up there.
And I met Bill Hornbuckle at the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting, and I will say, without giving away much more, Bill Hornbuckle's a Mitch. I'll just put it that way. He is the smartest political player in Las Vegas I've ever met.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of reasons that I'll share privately with you one day for saying that. I don't want to give anybody away.
Conversation for another day.
Yeah, I'm not
at the local Oakland pub.
Yeah, exactly. I am not surprised he is CEO at all. And but having said all that, a friend of mine said something about Las Vegas that mirrors what you said a few minutes ago. He said, Tony Wilson, he said that Las Vegas gets you a little bit pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know what that means?
It's a funny statement, but
yeah. Do you know what he means? Because I think I know, but because I asked him, he says, well, it's like you think you've got something going, and then you kind of really don't. And it's like, and what he was reflecting on was a whole shining object thing that you started.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's really what it's all about, right? I mean, like, Vegas is all about whatever the next newest, greatest thing is, and as soon as that's not the next newest, greatest thing, I don't know what happens. Like you said, the people who live in Las Vegas, who work in Las Vegas, these are not millionaires. These are not tech people. These are not people who can afford personal seat licenses at a brand new stadium. So,
just one moment. Let me.
No problem.
Yeah. I'm on live. You okay? Okay. Okay. You got it. 3 Bs. Okay. Did you want to come up? Or are you okay? Okay. That's it. My mom was reminding him. She's the 3 Bs: Bernie, Biden, and Barack.
And Brian.
And Brian. 4 Bs. That's right. It's 4 Bs, Mom.
Come on now.
That's right.
But yeah, so I mean, it is all about the new shiniest thing, And I'm going to kind of go back here to the stadium and to the workers who, there's been what, 2 cases of workers now who have come down with COVID-19. Can you imagine? I mean, this is a terrible thing to say, but can you imagine if somebody dies from that stadium, who's working on the stadium, and because they didn't shut it down, because they didn't practice, and someone loses their life? Oh my! I mean, it's a terrible thought, but it's something that could be very realistic.
Let me throw something out there. A number of people that worked on the stadium come from other places in the United States and the world, like California. So, and some of them are on other jobs now. So suppose they contracted something working in Vegas and they take that back someplace else, and then it shows up.
And someone else dies.
Right. And so that's a very real possibility.
I know.
And I will say that because a number of the Las Vegas whistleblower workers, the people that called me and emailed me about the problems with Fresnet actually representatives actually going in and pulling on the cable net early and stressing it, and then basically pulling it and basically overstressing certain bolts. Those folks have went on to other jobs, okay, and they have kids, and so I really worry about whether or not they fall into that category. And I say that because there are a lot of people who've contacted me who can't say anything, okay, but they say enough to let me know that there are more problems with that thing than we are allowed to even see. Like one person told me, and I don't want to give any confidence, I'll just say blanket, this person told me it's their mess, talking about the roof. This person said it's their mess to deal with. And I said, what do you mean by mess? And they said a lot more. Because I said, did you get paid? And apparently there are issues with that that go beyond Merrill Steel. All right. So
is that resolved, by the way?
Well,
the Merrill Steel issue?
They say it is, but then I saw a little note on one of the old construction monitor reports that referred to a $5.8 million chargeback to Merrill. And I don't know, the way it was written, it was that they were forcing Merrill to say, you need to take this off. The question is, did Merrill do that? Right? I don't know. It was one line, but the one line opened up a lot of questions like, okay, what was that? How did they respond? Did they say, we're not going to do that? That sort of thing. Okay.
Doesn't that seem to be a resonating issue with everything with this stadium? There's a lot of things that are just out there and it's just kind of not resolved. Yeah. And you never really get a straight answer.
You don't. And not only that, the big problem is that this is, I think, maybe the third stadium. I know the second stadium was the Falcon Stadium, where you had this unusual roof design that had never been done before, and so therefore there was no copy. There was no organization out there that had experience at doing what they wanted to do, and so they had to do it brand new. For example, the whole song with the Allegiant Stadium and with SoFi Stadium was, well, this roof is one of a kind, and it might sound cool and everything, but it adds up to one other thing, which means it's expensive.
Yeah.
Right. So what happens when you don't get the steel on time? What happens when people are on, and every contract is on a fast track? That's what makes this so wild. They started out with the intent of building this in about 26 months. They're not going to make it. Okay. By any means, they're not going to make it. And it seems like just because they wanted to do that, every contractor had on their website that they're proud to be part of this fast track project in black and white. Arab, one of the subcontractors, ARIP, Arab, had on its website that when they were talking about the reaching the topping out of the stadium, they were proud to be part of this and this fast track project. Everything was design, build, fast track, design, build, fast track. But it seemed like because they chose that strategy, they had everything working against them. The weather, all of a sudden you're getting rains and sleet and snow
you've never had before. Yeah.
Right. It was like, wow. And then if it wasn't that, the steel delivery was late, but here's the Vegas thing. They didn't want to admit it was late. And then they went so far as blaming me for a rumor. They did that on News 8. And I'm thinking they did on News 8 on the website. And Tommy White says to Steve Wolford, oh, that's one of those. Ask Zinni in Oakland. He came up with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, I didn't. The News 8 news director, digital media director, I'm not going to say the person's name, made them take that down and take the video down. Say, take that guy's name out of it because he could sue us. I got a call from them apologizing. But that's the kind of lengths they go to just not deal with the truth. If they're late, they're late, but don't blame me. I didn't put that out there. It turned out they kept saying it's not true, and it was true.
Yeah.
They were late by 3 months delivering steel. So, you've got all of these problems and then of course, let's not forget the truss problem. Remember? The truss, right?
Yeah.
You're supposed to put the trusses in. The truss was put in the wrong way. And that introduced us to Jedi Rich and Jedi Joy, with this wacky blogger couple that, I still don't know what they're quite about. No, and I'm just saying that. I'm not saying that to make fun of them, but they do things that, like, for example, Jedi Rich and Jedi Joy put out this great piece on the truss, and I was going to highlight what Jedi Joy said. And she sends me this text, which I published, because it's like somebody had gotten to her and said, well, don't talk to this guy because he's against us. And it's like all of a sudden they went from being sane to not, like that. And I thought, wow, I'm not going to deal. And it's hard to find people there who are reporting on things, say for one person, well, technically two, who really have approached this with the appropriate degree of professionalism. One of the persons is Ed with the Las Vegas Review-Journal that actually came and interviewed myself and Boss Man, Ed Rainey, way back in early in 2017, but he didn't run the interview. I ran my interview with him when we were at Perch Cafe. The other person is Steve Fowler, because he apologized on Twitter, a private message, and said we were just kind of kidding around. But beyond that, in media, they've all been kind of weird. And it's like, wow, you don't need to be that way. And that
it's the Vegas way, though. It's the Vegas way. It's the whole thing about where, the steel is 3 months late. Oh, no problem. We're still good.
Yeah, what I was going to say, when I said I think you'll like the flip side of that. I was invited 2 years ago to the groundbreaking for the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority expansion. And it was held over by the Riviera. They had this tent. They had these showgirls with champagne, handing them out and everything, and they're handing out champagne liberally.
Yeah.
And everybody was there. Sisolak, Tommy White, look, we nodded. We have a picture of us and everything. Christian Giuliani, who was just a Mitch as a commissioner. Love her. Outstanding. That's how I met Steve Hill. I had fun. And I started to actually want to see it. I have the live stream on Zinni62 on YouTube to this day. That's the Vegas I love, right?
Yeah.
It's like everybody's nice. It's like, and they sell. But it's like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sheldon Adelson wasn't there, was he?
No, he wasn't.
Doesn't he consider? Doesn't he? I'm pretty like when I worked back along, he considers that competition for the Sands Convention Center, right?
He does, and it's funny you mentioned that, because I haven't had the pleasure of meeting and talking to anyone connected with the company about this, but I know from reading extensively and talking to other people that he's, as you know, he's very right wing, and he doesn't believe in public money going to a facility that competes against his Sands Expo.
Yeah. Right?
and he's had this point of view since the Comdex days before he built Sands Expo.
Mm-hmm.
But so what I felt that he was what in reading the SNTIC documents before the Raiders came in and Mark Davis came in,
Mm-hmm.
there was this kind of war between the Sands people who wanted they didn't want a lot of hotel money, tax money going to the convention center. They're trying to figure out some kind of way of capping things.
Yeah.
And the Raiders Stadium gave them that thing. Because UNLV was supposed to have their event center, and it became that event center that Adelson wanted. And it, in fairness to Adelson and everyone else, it had been a gleam in the eye of a number of Las Vegas planners since 2011. And then around 2013, there was a CSL report where it was supposed to be NFL ready, 2014. And then that sort of gave them the raison d'etre to go after the Raiders, right? And what happened. But what it was really was Sheldon Adelson had this tool, if you will, to use politically to cut off the amount of money that the Las Vegas Visitors Authority was going to get. And the reason why I say the Review Journal is this, because Adelson bought the Review Journal in 2015, late. And everyone says, why is he spending $114 million or something that really isn't worth that much?
Yeah. But, kind of a dying industry.
Right. But it was also really not worth that much, period.
Right.
And the reason was power, okay? He wanted to control information.
The message.
Right. For a particular reason. The one thing that Adelson has been interested in, it seems to me, is that he wanted it out there that, first of all, internet gaming was an anathema. A, and then B, his other big thing was the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority was not properly ran and should not have all that money because it was mismanaged. And so finally, when he bought the Review Journal, he fired a lot of the journalists, those that didn't jump ship, and then started this war against the Convention and Visitors Authority, all based around Razi Rollencotter. Is that, if I'm mispronouncing his name? I don't mean to. He was the executive director. Bald-headed fellow. I think. I hope he's still with us. I think he had a cancer problem. And I had the pleasure actually of meeting him at the groundbreaking. Nice guy. That's a nice guy. Anyway, as you can tell with me, I like people who are nice to me.
I'm nice to you.
You're nice to me. Yeah, everybody's, yeah. But, it's like, and I think I'm nice to everybody. I try. So anyway, but all of a sudden the Review Journal came out with all these stories about mismanagement, and then it turned into criminal issues. I don't know if you were paying half attention to that.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I don't remember that part of it.
That came from Adelson pushing that and using it through his publication. And they got Razi out of there, and they put in the guy that they wanted, Stephen Hill. And so to me, it's been a story of Adelson trying to get control of this thing, mainly because philosophically, he doesn't agree with public money going into it. Here's why I disagree with his point of view. Because as a 10-year veteran of CES and press, the bigger CES got, the more demand there was to be at his Sands Expo. Right? So my thought was, well, why don't you just expand the Sands Expo?
Yeah.
Rather than whining about them. Give them money and let them expand, but expand your part of it rather than, trying to cap off what they get. That's what didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's what do you think? When does Vegas recover from all this? You think
recover or just open?
Open. Let's say open first. Let's take things one thing at a time. Yeah.
I would say July 1st, maybe June, but I don't really see it. I think July 1st, and recover. The problem that we have in the industry that I'm in, the hotel industry, is that when people make significant rate decisions based on things that are going on, like for right now, a lot of hotels have decided that the appropriate thing to do is to drop their price, to make gigantic price decreases, which, in my opinion, is not really the way to go. If there's nobody traveling, then whether your rate is $99 or $79, there's still nobody going to buy it. So, but we've learned in the past that whenever you do that, it takes the hotel industry. If you look back at 2008, which you can't necessarily compare it, but 2008, when the economy crashed and hotels revenue went down the toilet. It's similar in revenue. It's not similar in that nobody was traveling. People were still traveling in 2008, and you can also go back to 2001 from September 11th, and after that, there was a lot of people not traveling. So when you look at the hotel industry, we have those two time periods that we can kind of gauge things on. And in 2008, it took us 4 years. We did not go back to the revenue that we had in 2007 until 2012.
Yep.
So in 2001, it took a little over 3 years. So we equaled our 2000, the total revenue that's generated by the hotel industry in the year 2000 was not duplicated until 2004, because 2001, 2002, 2003, it all, 2001 was okay at the beginning because September 11th is towards the end of the year. But 2002, 2003, you had revenue that was less than 2000 to be a year prior. So we're looking at 3 to 4 years before revenue will return to what it was in 2019. Because 2019 had very good numbers. Now the interesting thing about 2019, and you've pointed this out before, is that 2019 in Las Vegas, the numbers actually weren't as good as the rest of the country, and the reason Las Vegas saw a lot of declines, and we attribute some of that to the events of October at Mandalay Bay with the shooting, the country music shooting. People were afraid to go to Las Vegas for several months because of the shooting that happened there, the mass shooting. So,
hey, I want to ask you, because we were talking about that extensively. And I went back and looked at the statistics from the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority site, drawdowns of the spreadsheets, and the visitation decline actually started 6 months before the shooting.
Yeah.
July. And so I commiserate with Scott Robeson, who runs Vital Vegas. And the one thing that he was complaining about before anybody else were the resort fees.
Yeah.
And I remember the resort fees started off as sensible, and then it seemed like they were going up to where they were room rates unto themselves.
It's interesting. It's interesting that you say that, because I have this discussion a lot with my hotels, because obviously we don't have resort fees at my hotels because we're not on the Strip. We're not resorts. Typically, we're smaller hotels, around the area. And they started off. If you remember right, I think that it might have been Harrah's that started the resort fee thing in Las Vegas I think it was pre Caesar's acquisition of Harrah's.
Yep.
And I think it was like $12.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. They added $12 to your room rate, and it included, you were able to access a newspaper, access to the gym, and I don't know, parking or something like that. And now you look at today, and the resort fees at many of these properties are north of $60, $69, $79, and it includes a newspaper. Now, they'll include a newspaper, access to the gym and the pool, and discounted parking. But if you think about this, these are all things that are normally, if you go to Oakland, let's say Oakland, you go to Oakland and you book a room at the Marriott in downtown Oakland, guess what? Your room rate includes access to the gym, includes access to the pool, includes so I mean, it's like they've included everything that you already get with a hotel room, and now are charging. It's just another fee. It's just another crazy fee that has nothing to do with the amenities that they're offering, because the amenities don't equal the fees. Yeah, and I was talking about this with one of my hotels a couple months ago, before all this stuff happened. We were talking about it, and I was like, imagine being a hotel. Like, you look at the Venetian and the Palazzo, and I don't remember if I think they have resort fees, but I don't remember. But let's just use it for example and say they do have a resort fee. Okay, there's 9,000 rooms between the Venetian and the Plaza. The Venetian has 45,000 rooms. The Palazzo has 4,000. So about 9,000 hotel rooms total between the two of them. They probably run like 90% occupancy for the year, right? So if you do the math on the number of rooms sold multiplied by the resort fee, and you have to be conservative and put it in at, like, just say it's $20 when really it's like 60, because not everybody pays the resort fee. That number is crazy and mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. The amount of money that they're making on resort fees, and they're not really giving you anything extra.
No,
it's just free, it's free money. Free money.
I would take my mom. I took my mom to CES with me the last 2 years in a row, and she liked
Paris, right? Did you say at Paris?
We were actually at Harrah's, which is connected.
Oh yes.
Mom is the queen of hotel deals. Okay, I mean, she just because Mom worked for United for 30 years, then she worked for Preview Travel, and then Carson Wagonlit, so she knows. Anyway, what happened was that she also knows where the slots would pay, and they weren't paying at Harrah's, and you'd see the demographic that normally would play the machines was there, but they were waiting for their payoffs, and they weren't happening. So Mom went over to Paris 2 years ago, and they did. This year, it was worse. So you take this, I call it the twin bugaboo of low payout for slots, high resort fees, and that spells I'm not going back.
And also, they make it more difficult to earn comps.
Yes.
So on top of all that, so you talk about the people who are playing the most, and the benefit of playing the most is you're earning comps in order to come back. So that you can come back, and they've been making the tiers higher and higher and higher and more difficult to attain.
Hey, I'm curious, if as much as you can, how's Wyndham handling that? What is your guys' strategy for swimming in that water? Like,
in where and how do you mean?
Oh, in terms of Vegas and the resort fees and the casino, because I don't know if you have the standard casino layout, do you? Or
we don't have casino properties, so we don't have hotels at casino. So we're all off strip in Las Vegas. None of our hotels don't have resort fees or any of those fees. The room rate is the room rate, and for the most part, there's no parking charges for any of our hotels. But we're talking about like the brands that are part of the Wyndham family. Like I work on the La Quinta side, which we were acquired by Wyndham about 2 years ago. So before that, we were just a standalone company, La Quinta. And then the other brands that Wyndham has, they have a lot of budget brands up to like mid-scale and upper mid-scale. So like they have like Days Inn is Wyndham, Ramada is Wyndham, hotels like that. And so we have a lot of those properties in Las Vegas, but they're not on the strip. So they cater to other business in Vegas, not the tourist or the.
There's a good Days Inn near the stadium. I think there's one. There's 2 Days Inns down there, right?
There's a bunch. There's a lot of it.
Yeah. But anyway, what happened was there was another one too. There's another bugaboo, and it's this. It's the little things. Like, for example, you used to get a drink when you would gamble, right? And this is happening first. Right, now they charge. And then what's happening in Vegas, I saw happen first in Reno in 2009. And I remember going there, and I was talking to a lady at the El Dorado at night, and at the Grand Sierra when it was you know, and she said, where you're standing here 5 years ago, there would be a line to use the place you're at to gamble and get a drink. Now it's just you and me talking at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I even have in fact, the security guard I had a discussion with about that is actually on my YouTube channel, right? Because we were interviewing, he was talking to me about that. But Reno seemed like it was foreshadowing what's happening with Vegas, but it seemed to me that rather than in the Vegas case, rather than say, you know what, we're not getting enough people to deal with our low areas, which seem to be after March, and there's this little window and the summer kicks up.
Mm-hmm.
They said, we'll let the resort fees take care of us.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it seemed like they got a little greedy, you know, because.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, not only the resort fees, but the parking fees.
Yeah.
So they started charging for parking too.
Yeah.
You know?
And now we're
that's always been free.
Yeah. And now we're at a point where you can go anywhere in America and a casino is only 1 hour drive at the most.
Right.
Which hurts Vegas.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so my fear is, even if Vegas comes back, what is that going to look like? Because now you have people sheltered in place, basically living like I've lived, which is working off of a computer. And a lot of people haven't done that before. And they've altered their lifestyle. They've altered how they take care of their kids. If they have kids in school, now they're at home. And some of them may find that lifestyle preferable because they're able to order in. And I'm wondering how that's going to impact Vegas' ability to come back.
Well, gaming revenues have been declining for several years, and that's one of the reasons why when you go to Vegas now, like if you're in Vegas, you see all of the celebrity chef restaurants, and like they really promote the nightclub scene with the cover charges and things, because they're trying to get a different demographic to Vegas of people who typically wouldn't come because they're not going to gamble. So they need to have ancillary revenue avenues that are open to them that have nothing to do with gambling, and that's kind of the transformation of Vegas. And you're right about Reno. Reno kind of started that, where the old Fitzgerald's Hotel in Reno is no longer even a gaming hotel now. They've made it like it's like got like the virtual reality games, and they have like a rock climbing wall and like stuff to appeal to a younger demographic who are used to playing Xbox and and aren't going to go and spend all their money in the casino. So.
Hey, I extended an invitation to Joseph Amandaris. Joseph just popped in. He's if he wants to join us, because he went to Vegas to make a couple of stadium videos. He didn't do that specifically for that. He has, I think, a cousin there or something like that. But I really pray it comes back, because I love the city. I mean, my favorite places to go. I love going over to the Cosmopolitan Chandelier.
Oh yeah, the Chandelier Bar.
I like Paris, and there's a kind of outdoor cafe there.
It's inside.
Yeah, and I love that place. And you can just Harris is right over here. The rest of Paris. Then there's Hex, and Hex has this excellent omelet. And
Hex has an amazing hamburger on their dinner menu, and the bun is made out of white chocolate.
Whoa, chocolate.
It's a white chocolate hamburger bun at Hex.
Whoa. Hey, Joseph, check your messages. I sent you a link invite, so check in there. You might have to transfer it to your however you want to do it, but I did send you a link. So yeah,
it's like the Zenny party line.
Yeah, that's how it is. And I have to admit, Mason Riggs is our designated NFL draft specialist, and he watched the show for a year, and then about a month ago sent an email saying, "Hey, I'd like to vlog, and here's my kind of sizzle reel," right? And I thought, yeah, I need somebody who's covering the draft, because my problem is that I can't do everything in our bases. I've got Insight Terminal Solutions as a client, we've got FlowCent as a client, and they're still active. Yay. I got one other client expecting to bring on. I've got another person who was a client. He's still a client. He's a good friend of mine. He just, I think, is like all of us, we're all worried about the cash. And so, but because of that, I haven't been able to. I can't. And then, of course, my mom here, so downstairs, and
Three B's.
the three, yeah, and it's just taking care of like this is upstairs office, and we've got 5 acres. So between all that, it's great to have all these extra people. Like you're an A's guy, so I'd love to have you on as a vlogger if you want to talk about anything you want to talk about. And I pay for assignments, and I've done that, and so I'm continue to try to do that. And if people want to promote what they want to promote, I'm extending an open public invitation to you to join us.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So we'll talk. I'll send you an email some other time.
We can talk about it.
Yeah.
Just real quick, can we kind of circle all the way back to the beginning? Sorry, we've got to get.
Please do.
We've gone a million directions here. Directions.
No, and the reason is that as my friend Charlotte Britt used to say, most people go from A to B, but Zinni goes from A to A sub 1, A sub 2, A sub 3, A sub 4, 5, 6, 7, B. so there you go.
The shortest distance, a straight line.
With me, it's kind of like that. I was kind of like, there, Yeah.
So just kind of circling back to the revenue, to the numbers of the revenue. So for the stadium.
One second. Hey, Joseph Armanduras, try it one more time. It's in your. It comes up. It says StreamYard. So take a look again on your link there. So it should be there to you because it says to me it's transferred to you. Okay, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's also funny that my picture on my profile there is me wearing all my Raiders stuff, and I'm not really a Raiders fan anymore. But just the A's. No more NFL really for me. I haven't watched the NFL in a while. But
Howard Terminal or the Coliseum?
I would like Howard Terminal, but I'm okay with either. But I would.
Yes.
I think Howard Terminal would be an amazing, opportunity. That's a whole nother issue. But like, what is this? What is all of this going to do to Howard Terminal and the progress or not progress? I don't know.
I'll tell you the good news is the governor already signed into law October 11th, the tax increment financing zone, which will be the most powerful Oakland has ever launched.
Right. Yeah.
Ever. So that's intact. The problem, however, although I think will be okay by the time the planning gets going, the problem is how do you do the community meetings? Because that's not done.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't know if it seems like that's been put on hold. I know that was in the process.
They were kind of doing them, but they just had to put it on hold. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the EIR process, which seems like it's on hold.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it seems like they were going to have this series of other city council meetings, but I don't know where that is. So I know who to reach out to. I just have to see. I think right now where the city of Oakland is there's talk of furloughing people and putting them on or laying off, which I'm against. And the reason I'm against is because, and I don't want to belabor the point, get back to your question though. The reason I'm against it is because the city has reserves, and reserves aren't like you and I think of standard budgetary reserves, but in public finance parlance, a reserve is actually money set aside for projects you want done. So you've got, street business. No, that's more the general stuff.
Okay.
Reserves are more like, for example, special street cleaning program for a business improvement district that you're trying to build in downtown Oakland, that sort of thing.
Right? Gotcha.
All right. So you staff according to the FTEs, which are the full-time equivalent units, which is a job. Okay. But it's also a job that somebody else can do that you can take off because that person that normally does that job has a primary job they do. And their job consists of these monies that pay for these FTE units for these different projects. Go through the reserves, take out all the unnecessary reserves, and move forward. Why are we doing that? Because people are not going to be able to pay their property taxes. Do you realize that we always talk about people being just basically one paycheck away, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I think this illuminates is the fact that the country is one paycheck away.
Yeah.
You know,
Including business.
Including business. We're all one paycheck away.
Yeah,
all of us.
Yeah.
Nobody's immune, you know. Somebody's bigger, but you know, their bills are bigger too.
Yeah.
You know. So but you were going to say good.
Anyway, I was going to the Las Vegas Stadium issue. Sure. What's the number that they need so that they don't have to touch any of the general fund?
Okay, they need. Let me put it this way: $56.8 million is the number in the debt service reserve. That's the difference between the taxpayers having to feed them and the bond revenue feeding them.
Okay.
The real problem, Brian, is that something that I alluded to when their plan was first presented in 2017. I said, look, because this came from a conversation I had with Guy Hobbs of Hobbs On, who's a Mitch. We have a lot of private conversations. And at the time, he was his first crack. He has a public finance company, public financial advisors, which is a typical kind of firm for investment banking.
Mm-hmm.
But they had never taken a stab at a stadium. I have tons of stadium spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Some go all the way back to when I was with the city of Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I had already had one around the A's and tax secure financing. I sent that to him from when Mark Davis had asked me to come up with a plan for the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Piper Jaffray blessed it. So it wasn't like this thing I did on the back of an envelope. This was a pure spreadsheet that a top investment banking firm said worked. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of our discussions, I asked him, why did you settle on a debt coverage ratio of 1.5 to 1 as opposed to 2? Because when I did the math, it looked like they were trying to get a larger subsidy, but then have a smaller tax rate.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened basically is that the original proposals from the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Committee that was established by the now former governor of Nevada, Brian Sandoval, another great guy I met at the groundbreaking. He's a nice guy. That dude reminds me of Sinatra and Bill Clinton all rolled into one. I mean, nice dude, man. Anyway, his committee was really fraggling with having this tax rate for the stadium and the impact it would have on the whole overall hotel room tax rate. The original tax rate was supposed to be 1%.
Mm-hmm. I
did a calculation and said, because they went from 1%, Brian, to 0.7%, like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was after Mark Davis came and they started running the numbers. And they created all these through Jeremy Aguirre and applied analysis, all these numbers that were justifying it. But they were justifying it from the perspective of the assumed elasticity of demand impact it was going to have on hotel room rates.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. Right. They weren't doing it from the standpoint of, hey, look, are we going to have enough money in reserve to make this bond issue sustainable under all but the most dire situations? All right.
Mm-hmm.
By contrast, for all the criticism that Sheldon Adelson gives the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, the one thing that they do that Adelson didn't like, and I thought, and Guy thought was the right thing to do, they had a 3-to-1. In other words, every $3 of revenue, $1 be spent for bond debt.
Mm-hmm.
They get a reserve of $2 going forward. By contrast, we're talking about 50 cents for the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And I warned then, I even made, and I'm not kidding you, this is not me just idle talking. I wrote a post on Zenny62blog.com April 14th, 2017, specifically calling for a 1.4% rate. Sisolak said I was wrong. They said I didn't know what I was talking about. They're going to have plenty of money.
Mm-hmm.
And when they first started the Pay Go program, they were already, and a news organization picked up what I was saying, didn't mention me, but they looked at the rates and they said, hey, look, they're getting less money. It became a headline issue.
Yeah.
It became a headline issue. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I go back to that and I'm saying, you know what? You all went into this not even ready for a recession. And here you're into something worse.
Let alone this.
Right.
Mhm.
If they had a 3-1, they would have had a bigger reserve to deal with this and more hope of getting out of this without touching the taxpayer. Now, particularly with what Steve said and what we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? If it's less than 100 million, let's say if it's 70 million next year, if it's 70 million next year,
Mm-hmm.
they're in big trouble.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you can forget it because that'll take away that $15 million cushion we were talking about, and they'll be touching the taxpayer.
But they haven't had one single month, have they, where they've met the projection, have they? Or have they?
Well, that's a good question. If you don't add, if you take the bond debt and you don't multiply it times 1.5, the answer is they've met the projections. But when you multiply times the debt coverage ratio, which is what you're supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
there have been months where they missed it.
Yeah.
So they play games with numbers. And when I do the calculation, I say, okay, what's your debt coverage ratio? Boom, it's this, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So based on that, and all you have to do is get the bond table on page 17 of the document. It's all right there annually. Take that amount for the year, divide it by 12, that gives you the per month, and then compare it to what's been actually coming in.
Yeah.
Take the debt and multiply it times 1.5, right? And you will see, I think, like the best month they've ever had was March 17th. That was the first month out. They got $5 million. They went from 5 million, it dropped to 4.17 million. Then it was 3.9889 million, and it kind of flirted around 3 million. Then it kicked up a bit when the hotel visitor situation got better, right? But that's the problem. It lives and dies with the hotels.
Mm-hmm. I know. So that's what so now you're looking at, let's say that what I'm saying is right, that things are going to come back in July, right? So now you're looking at the end of March, you're looking at the entire month of April, the entire month of May, the entire month of June, where that number is going to go from whatever it was to a very, very, very tiny amount, because occupancy percentages right now in Vegas are running about 15% for the whole market, 15% occupancy in a market that right now, because we're talking about April, some of the nicest weather in Las Vegas, you're talking about spring breaks, where right now their occupancies would be 95%. They're running 15. So you want to talk about, so like, let's say that the number is $1 million, right? So you're talking about a very tiny number now, 150,000, right? So that's going to be like 3.5 months of that having no revenue into it. Can they afford that?
No, I don't know. And something else that occurs to me.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It makes a lot of sense, because something else that occurs to me on top of that is incomes are not going to just bounce back from where they were.
Right. So on July 1st, it's not going to all of a sudden be 5 million again.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, and then let's say that all the projections that we're seeing from Smith Travel Research, which is the company that does hotel projections and things like that, that they're saying 2 years before it gets back to 2019. Well, that's 2 years where the revenue is not even to what it was last year. So those are all decline all the way for 2 years.
I haven't seen that publication. If you send me a link, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, then at the end of the 2 years, the taxpayers will wind up paying for this thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
it's just going to steadily decline.
And I think somebody else chimed in. I was paying attention and half to what they were saying in the comments, but someone had said, "Well, they got the roof fixed. What's the problem?" Let me explain something. First of all, people tend. I'm going to say this for the umpteenth time. For those people who have questions about the project, make sure you go to the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Committee websites, sntic.org. All the documents where they're telling you, among other things, that the stadium was originally supposed to be finished May of 2020. You can see the chain of events in terms of by presentation of how the thinking altered. You can go through the minutes and find out who said what to whom. It's all there right now, folks. And
it's not speculation.
No, it's not. It's all. That's what it bothers me. This is an internet age, and you think, why do people not read anymore?
Yeah.
It's like, and that's why I wonder if some of the people actually paid to be on here to make these comments. I think is a compliment, fine, right? But seriously, I mean, why not just? If that's not the case, I would prefer, Brian, that be the case where someone is trying to put out fake news here rather than them not actually knowing. Right?
Yeah.
Golly, if they don't actually know, I'm like, it's on the internet. I've said that I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
But like, for example, the one graph I need to find is one that Jeremy Aguilo made where initially he said, and the reason why I say this about Jeremy is because, look, of all the people, I've said this publicly before, and I'll say it again. Of all the people who've been nice to me, there's one person who hasn't been, and it's him. Because he started off okay, but when I started explaining, hey, look, your tax rate's too low, you don't have enough money, he would call me, laughed at me. Like I'm trying to explain something serious, he laughs like, ha, 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 ha. And I'm looking at the phone thinking, really?
Yeah.
And that's the last time I called him. So I thought, why am I wasting my time with somebody who's going to, treat me like that for whatever reason?
Not take you seriously.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, fine, because this is, I told Steve Sisolak this at the groundbreaking because when I introduced myself and he says, "You're not here to start trouble, are you?" And I said, "I've covered CES for the last 10 years. I love this." I said, and besides, do you realize that if you take everything that I told you and added it up, you'd have a better project? He goes, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Come on my shows." "I don't want to be on your shows, Eddie." I said, "Fine, okay." I mean, I have nothing against anybody, but it's more like, as I think Jedi Rich put it, he said about Vegas, he says, everybody's out to make money. And he said that, and I thought it was really very prescient. He said, the only time they're really cool, nice, they just want to make money, but they don't want you to get in the way of their coin. It's like, hey man, don't mess with my coin. So if you say something that messes with their coin, or they perceive it's messing with their coin, right? That's a problem. But what I was trying to explain to Steve is if you listen to what I said, everything would give you a better coin. If they had a 1.4% tax rate, they'd have more money. If they had a 3-to-1 debt coverage ratio for the bond issue, they'd have more money, right? All this is stuff that would help them.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, Joseph says, never received a message or stream invite. Let me see. Joseph, I don't quite know what's happening there because I've sent it the common way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send it to your email, okay, and see if that works. That should work. So copy to clipboard, and this only takes a second. I can actually do this while I'm talking. But you see, Brian, that's the biggest problem is like is that not willing. I'm writing invite, Joseph, invite, okay, and then the link, and there, I just sent it. Okay, now where was I? Yeah, okay, all right. Not willing to accept the truth, and just say, hey, look. And here's why I say that: because if you have these problems, you can identify who the heroes in solving them are, and that creates a great story. It's a better story than, it's going to work, it's going to work, and oops. Everybody likes a hero story or heroine story. Everybody likes, Superman and Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah.
Me, So it's like, that's, so that's what bothers me about this because, like I know there's some people connected with Forever Oakland who don't like my stance, but I've explained to them, look, you know what? I tried to. I said, look, first of all, I started this business with the NFL way back in really 2003, and I started covering the draft in 2005. And the commissioner and Joe Brown pledged to help me before that because they didn't like the way the city of Oakland treated me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to give up decades of friendship for something that a city did that I had no control over, that I asked to be involved in. They asked for free advice from me, didn't do, okay? And then it turned out like the way that it has. And it's not outside my rubric of expertise to say I should have been the person that was the point person in charge.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel. But they didn't do that or put me in charge. And I have this thing about controlling your own private Idaho, right? My own private Idaho is my company. My private Idaho, in part, was built by the NFL allowing me to cover their events. I said to Joe Brown, when I called him, he was the NFL is now executive emeritus vice president for government affairs. But when I called him, this was like 2002. And I said, Joe, I started a new blog 2003 and 2004, actually. Now, when we lost the Super Bowl bid in 2000, at the press conference, as Jerry Brown was saying, you can't give this to Jacksonville, Joe Brown said, Zinni, is there anything you need for us to do? Let us know. Because I'm one of a handful of people in the NFL in the history to form a Super Bowl to bring to a city, win or lose. Mm-hmm. I'm the only one in Oakland's history now. So anyway, I said, I called him several years later, I kept in touch, and I said, remember that promise? He goes, yeah, what do you need? I said, I'd like to cover the NFL draft. He said 2 words, you're in. That's how it happened.
Yeah.
These people walk their talk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And by contrast, there's some folks on Forever Oakland who I love, but I figured, if I don't do exactly what they want, they're going to turn against me. And see, these are people that listen to me, but in some cases came to me directly, and they went from being people I didn't know all of a sudden to be like that, right? But then they dropped out, and then they made it known to other people, don't listen to him and everything else. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, and my thought was, hey, look, all I'm saying is this. Name and colors, fine, but the lawsuit's not written that way. All I'm saying is let's just deal with the fact that it's not. We're not. Don't take the cart before the horse, because people are saying, why are you getting the name and colors? If you read the lawsuit, it says nothing about name and colors.
I know. I realize that. I would say that.
that's all I've ever said, and they got mad at me. And I'm like, well, but here's the deeper thing, Brian, for me. And to me, it's the all hands. It's like, hey, if we pay attention to point out all the wrong stuff that was done, and we put that out there rather than name and colors,
mm-hmm.
then we help the attorneys build this media case.
Mm-hmm.
But with the exception of me, there hasn't been anybody else getting out and pushing.
Yeah.
Who was able to get on camera and say, okay, this happened in 2012. This happened in 2011. And there are a lot of people who can. I'm not going to name names, but they are very capable of doing that. They were there. They know.
Yeah, yeah.
One of those people got so mad as to go outside of the Raider headquarters and lose his head. Remember that on video? Okay. I'm just saying. All right. But they all basically decided to jump ship. But they could have moved the media and say, have people saying, they could have made it where this is on 60 Minutes, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot that's gone on. People don't know. And it left this big chasm of information. And what did the Raiders do? What did Mark do? Very smartly filled it with his own story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
that becomes the narrative.
Yeah. And so there's just one guy out there battling the narrative who has a platform to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You look at him in the mirror every day, don't you?
Hey, so, it's like, and I say this because I would love for them to kind of revert to how they were, but we all got our stuff. So I decided early on, I like my private Idaho. My company is a real company now. With stock, I own 51% of it. I'm able to help my mom. Oh, here's Joseph. How you doing? Joseph, meet Brian. Brian, meet Joseph.
Yes. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hey, good. How's it going?
Oh.
Good. I just want to give a quick shout out to J Marks and PJ. They're doing a good job moderating.
I want to give a shout out to Joseph because he's one of the main contributors, and I hope I'm not speaking out of school if I say this. But we got to help this man find a kidney. So it's like, I'm not speaking out of school, am I?
No. It's
all right.
It's something I have to deal with every day. I'm at end stage renal failure. That's stage 4. There's no other stages to go.
Yep.
And
so hey, do you have a question for Brian's our star, man? So I'm deputized.
Well, what I was gonna say was, you kind of alluded to it earlier. Was I'm surprised by some of the trolls that were on today, because some of the things, if they were really viewers, they would know that some of the things that you have been saying have been documented. But you've been talking about this for maybe more than a year. And you don't just say nilly-willy, you just say things. I mean, there's proof and there's a trail behind it. And that's why I gave a shout out to PJ and J Marks for that.
Can I say something real quick? Okay, that person that's doing that, he's been about 8 different other things. And I'm not sure, but I think he's also Scott Winter. But it's that's fine. My point is everybody's entitled to their opinion and everything. I'm used to it.
Hey, don't let facts get in the way of your opinion.
Right, exactly. I'm used to that. I'm used to there's some people who do some bad things, all right, who are associated with this. I have been in this business now as a vlogger in earnest since 2005, 2006. Yeah, because I joined the iReport before CNN bought it. So when CNN bought it, they inherited me. That's another long story. So my point is, 2006, 16, 15 years, whatever, okay? I'm used to, you're talking to the guy that lobbied for 4 years and got the help of CBS and Ad Age platforms to say, hey, look, YouTube, put in a filter so this guy isn't called the N-word in his comments. We call the N-word 52 times a month. It was outrageous. So I've seen people like this, okay? My point is, look, if they're paid by the organization, they should say so. Because they come in, and if this person is, because I'll block this person because this person gets a little nasty trying to make it about them. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, that's a waste of time to do that to anybody else. Like right now we're talking about that person. I'd rather talk about Brian, right? Because he's
Well, Brian, the question I had, I know when me and Zenny kind of go back and forth, I just want to get your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I always believe that Adelson's trying to make a play for the Raiders. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what your opinion is on that, being that you're in the industry, and I don't know what maybe talk is with regards to that.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't worked for that corporate for Sands Corp, Las Vegas Sands, in a long time, but I think I worked there back in like 2010. But I don't. So I don't know. Like, I don't have any inside information or anything. But I wouldn't be surprised, because it's almost like he had the relationship that he was working closely with Mark Davis and on all of this stuff, and then it kind of came to an abrupt end, which almost it kind of gives you it kind of puts in your mind that maybe he's created a rivalry where there wasn't one, so that if there is a time that he can take the team over, it can be done. Well, he can just do it because they're no longer associated with each other, no longer friends. I mean, you kind of puts that in your mind, right? Like, It's a created rivalry where there wasn't one, and that was he kind of like we went scorched earth on Mark Davis and to end the relationship so that it wouldn't be friendly anymore. So I don't know. It's very possible.
Well, I think there's some credibility to that because I believe the Adelson family owns a review journal. And so when I backtrack it, and maybe people have different opinions, is that if the Adelson family owns the review journal and there's this contentious relationship supposedly, right, with the Raiders, if you read everything the review journal does, it looks like a paid PR stint. I mean, all it is just PR news coming out of the review journal. So as someone who kind of delves into things, I wonder what credibility the review journal has when they refuse to report news. And it's okay to report positive things, but let's look at both sides of the issue, and I don't think they're doing that.
It's biased.
It's very
biased. Yeah, it's a bias. And just one thing I want to say, and I don't know that people know this about Las Vegas Sands Corporation, is that their biggest revenue streams, or Sheldon Adelson's biggest revenue streams, are not from the Venetian Palazzo Las Vegas. They're from the Venetian Palazzo in Macau.
Yes, right.
Is where which is where it was a big chunk of the revenue, and it makes way more money than any of the Las Vegas properties can even dream of making. Just to put that out there in case people didn't know that.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I've gone through their attendees and read that years ago, and yeah, that is the case, and that's also the case for I believe Caesars. All the big casinos have bigger plays in Macau than Las Vegas.
Yeah,
but then Macau is hurting.
They've got to be hurting terribly right now because it's right off of China.
Yeah, and so in a great situation, Las Vegas Sands, MGM Resorts, and Caesars were able to say, hey, Macau can carry Las Vegas.
Right.
We're going to be okay.
That's what it's been doing. Yeah.
But now, that's not there.
I know.
That's not there. I want to ask something before, because I don't want to make this all dire. I want to ask you, what's your favorite place to eat in Vegas? And the reason why I say that is because, for example, my favorite places, I mentioned the Chandelier, but I also mentioned I really enjoy going over to Guy's Big Bites on the Strip. What favorite places do you have that? Oh, and also Delmonico's, and then Ruth's Chris. Love those places. I haven't been to Hell's Kitchen yet. I stood in line to get in it, but I haven't been there yet. What are your favorite places? Right.
So my least favorite place. I'll start with my least favorite place. Is Gianna's. Oh man, terrible! It was.
Wait, tell us.
I've got a funny story about Gianna's.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So me and Ralph.
Wait, I gotta say, she's gorgeous. What's mean? It's like but go ahead.
Okay. All beauty aside.
Yeah,
I'm still looking. And Zinni, when we're talking beauty, me and you are experts in beauty.
Yes.
So it's funny. So me and Ralph, and Ralph, we went to Gianna's, and there's Ralph in the background there. And we went to Gianna's,
hey,
and Ralph Zinni says hello. And we went with two of our friends. And first off, it's very expensive. Okay, to eat there, and it's a celebrity chef restaurant. It was very expensive. The portions were not what we were used to, and they were very small. So we had our dinner, and it was super crazy expensive. And then we left there, me and Ralph and our two friends. We left there, and we went to Margaritaville and had nachos because we were still hungry.
Oh God!
After spending about $200 or $300 on dinner.
Are you serious?
So that's my That's my.
Oh my god! It was like no, Delmonico's is my favorite because I was taken to dinner there by these guys that it was at CES 2014, and they had a company, a French company, and which has since it became another app. But they took me to dinner there, and at Delmonico's you have the steaks are not just huge, but they give you these enormous servings of mashed potatoes and spinach. And by the way, I want to say one thing because Ralph is there. You and Ralph, you all came to my town hall meeting. Remember, I had this and I want to thank you all because you're all one of the people that really, helped me build what I built. So I shout out to both of you. Thank
you. So, okay, so that's on the low end there. That's the least favorite. And I would say that some of my favorite places there, I love Guy Fieri's restaurant at the Link. That place is great. The burgers there are really good. Mm-hmm. Everything there is really good. And they have a dessert there that is because you know me, I need to gain some more weight. They have a dessert there that is a deep fried it's like a deep fried s'more dessert that's served with like a raspberry something. It's one of the craziest desserts I've ever eaten. But yeah, I really like that place. There's just so many great places to eat in Vegas. Oh my god!
If you have a place that you love to eat, you were there recently, Joseph.
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I said you were in Vegas recently. Do you have a favorite place?
Well, the last few times, my previous incarnation, on business, I used to go and I'm not a buffet guy, right? But
I am a buffet guy.
The Caesar Palace buffet was great.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So I enjoyed that. When I used to go more frequently, better times, of course. The place I used to go was I had an uncle that lived there. We used to try these out of the way restaurants and kind of like mom and pop places. But the old Bill Gamble's house on the corner of Flamingo and the Strip had a great Chinese restaurant. I am finicky about Chinese food, and I never had Chinese food as good as this. And unfortunately, it's no longer there. Obviously, it's not even Bill's Gamble House anymore. I forgot what it's called now. But that was one of my favorite places to go when I did go to Vegas.
That's the Cromwell, right? It's now the Cromwell.
Yeah, it's the Cromwell.
That's where Giada's is. Yeah. Thanks for bringing up that memory. All circles back to Giada.
That was hilarious. Oh my god, that was hilarious. Another fun place I had for a meal. There's so many. Well, I mentioned before you came, Joseph. I mentioned the cafe, the outdoor cafe at Paris down there. That's a great place. So you get a front table, and
not just for and the people watching there is amazing.
Yeah. That's what. So you get and insist on getting a front table whenever it's going to open up again. But I'm saying insist on getting a front table, which reminds me, Ralph. Do you think? At what point do you think they price gouge again, if they ever do?
I don't know. It's a good question. I'm wondering what's going to happen with all of this. And some of the Caesars properties are for sale. I actually heard that Paris was close to being acquired by. I can't think of his name right now, but he's the owner of TI of Treasure Island. I can't think of his name. He's buddies with Sheldon Adelson. I can't think of his name. But that he was going to purchase Paris. And actually, the last time I was in Las Vegas, I go to Las Vegas a lot, me and Ralph. And I thought that I was talking to one of the servers in Paris at the buffet there, and she was saying that she was under the understanding also that he was going to be purchasing Paris.
Phil Ruffin.
Yeah, him.
Phil Ruffin.
I think that he was planning on purchasing the Paris hotel. I know that some of those Caesars hotels are for sale. So, because I think the parent company of Caesars now is Blackstone Group, I believe. Mm-hmm. And not to get too crazy in the industry here, and we'll lose all of our viewers, but I think that hotel's for sale. So then, as far as
actually, the viewer rate's pretty good. I mean, for this time of night, it's pretty good. You know.
Okay, all right, we're doing good.
Yeah.
So it's actually it's interesting you brought up about buffets, that you're not really a buffet guy, but it does kind of beg the question here, because this is like the eternal question of what is the best buffet in Las Vegas. And one thing that's kind of funny is that if you think about Vegas and you think about back in the 90s, right? It was $3.99 steak and eggs, $5 buffets. It's buffets are $50 now, for dinner or whatever.
Well, and if I can interject, sorry for interjecting, but when I remember going, like, say, between 2005, 2007, one of the late spots a lot of people will go to, and obviously it doesn't exist anymore, by P.F. Chang's, remember Terrible's Casino? These upstairs, they used to have great meals for like under $4, and I was so surprised because it was good quality food and it was $4. Obviously, they want you to come in because they want you to gamble. But that no longer exists.
Yeah, and
anymore.
that was before the time when the celebrity chefs hit town.
Oh, before that, yeah.
Yeah. Now you've got like Michael Minna. Got a place there who I got to get Michael on the show, because Michael I saw at the culinary kickoff Super Bowl party in Miami, and turns out he's a big Zenny 62 fan. He might be watching right now. So he grabbed me. He's like, "Buddy, how you doing?" I was like,
Can I ask you to a question? If we could transition, I had the question: what are your two favorite things to do besides gambling, show-wise?
Well,
I know mine right off the bat.
I haven't been to a show in Vegas in some time. I like to go out to nightclubs. Like, okay, you asked. All right, since I'm a bachelor, still, okay, and
where's this headed?
No, it's not. It's safe.
I think there's a Dejan of you in there somewhere.
But anyway, I came that close to a Vegas marriage. This was 2013. And I went to, there's this organization that's still around now called Digital LA. And Digital LA would have these parties at CES that were like Friday night or Thursday night in this case. And back then, the Monster had a big event party, which sort of petered off. But to make a long story short, this party that Digital LA had was in the library at Cosmopolitan. I don't know if you guys have ever been to the library, but
no.
Yeah, and it's a library. It looks like a library, and it was crazy, man. But I met a woman there that was actually working for an organization I'm not going to name, and I made her my pursuit, and I ended up in her room. I have channel video on YouTube. Not that kind of video, okay?
There's a lot of on YouTube, Zenny.
I have 16,300 videos up on here. But I have
She wasn't Ukrainian, was she?
No, she wasn't. No, she was Michiganian.
Okay.
And I thought that was it, and that for reasons I'm not going to go into, very tearfully disappointing, I might add. It just didn't happen. I came back home, I thought that was it. No, I mean, it was truly a Vegas thing. But I will say one thing, man, those Cosmopolitan rooms and that mattress and pillow were nice.
I have a really funny story about the Cosmopolitan if you want to hear it. But what I'm getting out of that story is you almost Britney Spears yourself. You like the overnight 1 day marriage in Vegas. Huh? Isn't that what Britney Spears did? Yeah, funny story about the Cosmopolitan of Vegas. So,
is that where you met Ralph? Just kidding.
No. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary. I don't know if you saw that.
Happy anniversary!
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, 20 years.
Happy anniversary! Yeah.
Thank you. And the Cosmo hasn't been there for 20 years. So. But the Cosmo is beautiful, right? It's like it's an awesome hotel, and it's really really nice. And a couple of years ago, we had our La Quinta conference was at the Cosmo. That's where we had it at the convention facilities of the Cosmo, and we booked our rooms there. And so we went, and at the time you would double up with a coworker, so you would share a room with somebody else, if you didn't pick the person you shared a room with, then somebody would just get assigned to you. So most of us would just pick whoever we liked, whatever, right, to share a room with. So we show up at the Cosmo, and I don't know if you know this or remember this from the Cosmo, but we show up to the Cosmo and we go into the room, and the room has 2 beds and a little desk area, and the bathroom at the Cosmo, it has a regular restroom with a toilet and everything, and the door that closes, but the shower is actually kind of built into the room with a glass wall. So we have, so we have all these people who may or may not know each other that are now showering in the shower in this shower that's open to the rest of the room. It was quite an awkward experience for everybody.
Wow. And I'm assuming that glass wall wasn't frosted or anything.
No. It's just a glass wall.
Oh wow!
Just a clear glass.
In fact,
like glassed-in shower. Yeah.
I think, having said that, I can give you a kind of a look at what that looks like. So,
wait, is there anybody in the shower? Wait a second. This is not a live look into the shower.
Cosmopolitan. Let's see here. Zinni 62. There. And let's see here. There is, where is that? Cosmopolitan hotel room video tour. Yeah, I found it. I believe that's it.
Groovy music.
Thanks. And this is it. Hold on a second. Let me bring this in so you guys can get a look at it. Everybody can get a look at our room.
Understand what I'm talking about?
I think so. Yeah. Hold on a second. We do this. Share screen. Select window. And there that is. And allow. There that is. Okay, so there it is. All right. And let me go back to and then let me play it. So there's your tour. Yeah. No. I should probably, you know what I should do though? I gotta take that. I gotta take away that comment there so I can whoops.
See the full view.
Yeah, well, yeah, so you see the full view. And then I'll hide that. Okay, yeah, that's better. Okay, yeah. Now you see the full view. Okay, there we go. All right, good. There we go. All right, so yeah. See that? And this was the day of the Niners. That's our bed. So it was so it's and that's we were actually checking out. So that's our couch.
Oh, there's a shower. See that? I think the shower was over there to the
You go back here. Yeah, that's her, by the way. So yeah, we go back here. Yeah, that's the bed.
Yeah, and then if you kind of when it swings around there, I think it shows the shower.
Yeah, and there's
and then there's a shower right there in the glassed-in area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's our little couch there.
This is really cool. Wow.
Yeah, see that?
There it is. There it is. On the right.
Right. Yeah. That's what you get a view there.
This is really cool. Wow.
Yeah. See.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was working at she was doing some office work there before we were going out. So I was helping.
It's a nice place. The Cosmo is a nice place.
Yeah, and I wound up helping her. I was trying not to get her too much into it, And
yeah.
You
don't want your.
That's our view. That's our view. And by the way, that music is by Emily Palin, who's an Oakland violinist, and so she made that music 7 years ago, especially for Zinni 62 on YouTube. So,
nice.
Yeah. So there you go. So So anyway, I let that go.
Well, Joseph, we almost got to see the future bride.
There you go.
Probably just as well, but hey. But that was fun.
Well, if I throw my 2 cents, well, the original question, what's your favorite show? And this is just to plug the fact that when Vegas gets back online, everything is flowing again. The greatest show I've seen there is the Beatles' Love. That's an extraordinary show.
Oh, and you talk about favorite things. Go ahead.
I just highly recommend it when everything goes back online and everybody's back going to Vegas. That's an incredible show. You don't even have to be a Beatles fan to enjoy that show. It's a great, great show. I recommend that to anybody who likes going to see big shows in Vegas. That's the one to go and see.
Where's that at again, by the way?
It's in the Mirage.
The Mirage.
Okay, yeah.
What was interesting about that real quick was I was fortunate to have orchestra seats. And if you're sitting that close, you become part of the act. There's a middle of the act where they do like a tent scene. And the tent scene is actually filtered through the audience. And if you're in the orchestra level, you're actually part of the show. And you participate in the show, which is pretty interesting.
Part of the did we lose you, Joseph?
No, I'm here.
Okay. You were saying part of.
Yeah, I'm just saying if you ever have an opportunity to get orchestra seats, you become part of the show in the middle of the show, and it's kind of interactive. And that was kind of the best thing about the show.
This is the other thing that I missed. Like this fellow helped us. There are a lot of people who are very helpful. This fellow helped us at the airport, but he was talking about the whole stadium parking issue. I'm gonna call up his video
Traffic.
and then put this right here and freeze it and then and lay it in. Hold on a second. But it's folks like this. Where is this? I had it. There it is, right there. Okay, yeah, right here. Allow. All right, cool. Yeah, and I'll just play there.
Hey folks, we're in Vegas now, and asked this gentleman what he thought about the Raiders coming, and what you said shocked me. So go ahead. Sorry.
It's going to produce probably the worst traffic Nevada has ever seen, because everyone's going to be thinking to themselves, I'm going to Uber there. Next thing, I got all the Uber drivers just stuck together, or the casinos are going to offer free shuttles, and next thing you know, you're better off just walking. You're better off getting a room somewhere and just walking there, because everyone's going to be thinking the same thing. Or if you got a monster truck, you can just run over everybody, and then and then you do the valet service, and next thing you know, they crash your vehicle, and they're just like, sorry.
Is that the general feeling of people here about the stadium and team eventually coming here and all that?
Yeah, I feel like it's very mixed. People are saying I feel like some people are saying it's good. Others are just saying it's going to be bad. And I've heard things about limited seating. So the tickets are going to be expensive. So that might not even this might not even happen at all, because the tickets might be so expensive. That might be like a 1% kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So then there's this guys pulling up in Lamborghinis to the thing.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, so there you go, folks. Another view, unscripted.
So folks like him are fun. He was helping us help my mom with a wheelchair and everything, and folks like that, and they're very. And then also, if it's not that, it's that was just from this trip, 2020, and then I hope CES comes back, big. That's I would be very disappointed if CES wasn't able to really, march back, right? And that would be hard. And if it weren't that, it was just the events, there were people who make up Vegas. I'm trying to find. I
don't know if you know this, but NASCAR typically has two Las Vegas events. They have a March race and they have an October race. And this is the last year of it. Next year, they've actually moved the October race to, I think, North Carolina.
Oh,
Las Vegas. So they lost that. They lost that the sporting event also.
Oh, this is someone else. When I was talking about the people that I've come to know that generally work there, this is Leah, and this is my 7th year interviewing her. Name is Leah Gruber, and she's talking about this. She's also a golf fitness expert, and that's Leah. but this is at the Valencell booth where she's talking. So, yeah.
Hey everybody, this is Lee. I see her every year. And she's got some stuff going on in San Jose.
Yeah.
Really fascinating. What's happening here?
So I am making golf fitness videos for golfers who want to stay fit and also want to be injury free. Because, you know, during your golf swing, you're taking a lot of load in your lower back, and, you know, a lot of people aren't as flexible in their shoulders, so, you know, their swing could be a lot more powerful, and they could prevent themselves from having injuries. So, yeah, that is
How does
what
one
I'm
sign up?
Well, currently I'm working on it, but it should be done in about another month or two.
Mm-hmm.
But you can look me up on Instagram at Leah Gruber.
Spell that so they can.
LeahGruber. And that's probably, you can say, I'm probably most current on my Instagram account. But you can also look me up at leahgruber.com.
And folks, she's not kidding about being in shape. Show her your guns. There you go. There you go. So you want to get her, and I'm out of commission, so I really actually need to do that.
Yeah.
I might drive down there. That's right, absolutely. Yeah, she's in my other video here, so you can see what she's done in the past. Hey, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah.
I take it all back what I said about the dessert. Get all back.
So it's like her, or you know, like she's. I feel for her and her boyfriend because they, you know, are trying to make a go of it, and then there's another person that is, well, no, she's actually in Vegas, trying to find. Where was it? There, yeah. This is it. Yeah, the lady I was telling you about that also works at that booth.
Well, one of the people that works at their booth is also the star of a casino game. Yeah, Lindsay, right here. See this?
Yeah,
that's her. That's
The video blackjack.
yeah.
Lindsay, I found you. Lindsay is the same person who has worked for Valencell Technologies at CES Las Vegas for the past 7 years. So if you ever see that video game and you wonder who that model is, it's Lindsay Riddick. That's her. She's famous. Lindsay, I found you. Subscribe to Zenny62. Hey everybody, if you remember my covering the Valencell booth.
Yeah, so, you know, her, and then other people. There's so many people that that I can think of who, like for example, this is a Vitalis. You know, the oxygen bars. You know, yeah, the oxygen bars set up. You go in.
Oh yeah.
Right. This is one of my first. This is January. This is 2012. Yeah.
Try this oxygen bar. Never tried it before. Oxygen. What's up?
I'm going to shorten this because it's 6 minutes, but I'll just get to right here. This is
Massages. That's a little stronger. That's okay. Go low. Oh, I can play around with it. All right. I can basically. Wow. Hey, tell my viewers where this is at.
Where is that?
Yeah.
Oh, Las Vegas, Vitality.
Vitality. All right. Hey, what's your name?
Kai.
Hey, Kai. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, no.
This is pretty cool. So how long do I stay under this?
10 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay. Wow.
folks. That stuff actually works too. Just saying.
All right, folks. Coming back. It's got that massage going. Yeah. This is crazy stuff. Look at this. It's like, oh!
I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, the head thing.
Feels good.
This feels
It
good.
feels good.
Hey, folks, it's good to be bald. I'm telling you. Look at that.
Then you can try this one.
Oh,
That did feel good.
It was, oh man.
I saw the viewer rate go down after. But you get the idea. It's just like, I mean, I could make this a whole show of stuff I've done in Vegas and I love it. I just love the place, the people that I've met. That was that's at CES Las Vegas. This is Lydia. she'll be back hopefully. And Lydia is one of the people that makes CES go. That's her in this video here.
On this lot of now programs.
And Lydia, let me open this here.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too.
Let me introduce you to my friend.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Michael Williams, the iconic, legendary Michael
Pleasure to meet you.
Williams, creator and founder of the Comedy at Theater in LA. Are you familiar?
Yes.
So,
Hold on a second. The man.
Me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like these folks are doing things. If you think about it, small businesses, right, all need help, right? All going through something right now. That I pray that we all come out of it, because it just hurts to see these great, nice people go through this. It hurts to see it, and it just hurts big time,
Hey, looking at, just kind of, this is just completely like off the subject thought after looking at that video there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that we'll ever go back to like what we consider normal? Do you think we'll ever go back to shaking hands with people?
Wait, say that one more time.
Do you think we'll ever go back to like a normal environment where do you think shaking hands will ever be an acceptable greeting again in the future, or will we have to go to?
I think something that I learned way back in grad school when I was visiting Tokyo is bow. There's a standard bow like this, but if you're meeting a head of state or a head of a corporation, you bow at 45 degrees like this, giving them your head, right? I think there are two things that would be more part of our society than ever before that are part of other societies, particularly in Asia. One, masks, face masks. Non-handshake greetings.
Yeah.
And it just now that you say that, it reminds me, English has always been the language of commerce, right?
Yeah.
And in business, the handshake was quintessentially American, went with that. But if that's taken away, then what do we have? What will replace it?
Yeah.
It's like, are we, and this is what I fear the most. This is why I would prefer we have a $9 trillion surplus subsidy over a period of months, because I've seen statistics where there are people who are not, and you can see, you watch television, and Domino's will have a commercial, and Domino's will say, hey, if you want to work for us, but then there are people who will have their homes, we're able to be sheltered in place, and the most we complain about is isolation, right? But these folks have to get out. We have money coming in, but these folks have to get out to make their coin. They're not doing Zoom meetings and all of this.
Yeah.
And getting out to make their coin, they're in danger. And so what bothers me is that among the folks that I'm talking about, a number of them don't know or assume, worse, that the government will not help them. That there's not going to be a sole proprietor type of paycheck protection program. There is. Or because they didn't file for unemployment, they're not going to get assistance. Or because they didn't file their taxes, they're not going to get assistance, even though they consistently say, just put something in there. Don't worry about it, right? That's what bothers me, is that we're going to form into a new country where the have and have not divisions are going to be greater. And what I don't like about that is the crime that comes with it. Right now, the crime is low because we're sheltered in place.
Yeah.
Well, what happens when we're not? That's what worries me. Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna come out of this in a whole different situation than what we're used to.
Yeah. And having said that, what you just said reminds you of something else that bothers me. I was trained in economic planning. In economic planning, we don't let things happen. There's no such thing as the market. We control the market.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't find that we have that mantra. Saying, hey, look, we're going to fix this in a way that benefits everybody like that. And we can do it like that. Because when I say it, even I was talking to my mom and family friend, and they were saying, well, the dollar is going to be weak if we put money out. And I said, wait a minute. No, it isn't. How is the dollar going to be weak if we're giving people money? Really, we should be giving them $7,917 per household per month for 6 months in order to equal from June until the end of the year, in order to equal what they made last year in terms of their average statistically. All right. That means we're able to ensure the maintenance of our standard of living. Okay. Businesses, we have 35,000 small businesses. Average take, I think, was something like 35,000 per business. Okay, fine. Well, divide that by 12. For the rest, that's 35,000 for the rest of the year, not for the whole year, but for the 6 months. Divide that by the 12 months, then take that 6, and that's what you pay them. Divide that by 6, and that's what you pay them. But we're not doing that. We're doing it at the Paycheck Protection Program helps people if you have a business bank account. If you don't, you're toast. If you have a business bank account, but even then, I still haven't heard from Bank of America.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there's these tiers opening up of people, and then someone says, "Well, they're getting their checks," and we're all looking around. We're saying, "Who? And I'm thinking, I'm working, yes, but I don't want to. But I know that everybody else is looking at everybody else and saying, okay, you have anything? We're all collectively going, no. And that's not good.
Yeah.
So it's PJ says he isn't. I'll see you, PJ. Federico Mita says, I'm a photographer visiting Las Vegas to capture this unprecedented time. Hey, Federico, send me an email. Here's my email. I'd love to have you on the show. And we can feature your work, because that's something everybody should see, It really is. But getting back to my other favorite thing to do in Vegas, I love to ride the monorail. I love that thing. Oh boy.
I have another funny monorail story.
Yeah.
So Ralph and I were in Vegas on the day the monorail opened. And so we went and we took the monorail. And when it got to the station at the Sahara, the monorail, the doors opened on the wrong side of the monorail. Luckily, nobody stepped out because it was opened up to like the drop off onto the street below. Like it's like we're all standing there going, "Oh my goodness!"
Did you no. I would have had the camera like, "Hey, look at this, man."
It was crazy. But yeah, the monorail is. Going back to Joseph's points about the show.
Ask you about the monorail. Where were you? Were you standing or were you sitting when that happened?
We were standing.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I was standing there. I was like, I'm just glad that nobody exited. Because can you imagine? That would have been bad. That would have been really bad. A very bad situation on the first day of the monorail opening. Have the doors open.
Hey, Joseph, you going to say something? Sorry about that.
No, I think Brian was interjecting about the shows.
Oh, the show.
I was going to talk about the show. Yeah, so I'm a little bit biased. A friend of mine is the lead in Mystere at Treasure Island, and his name is RJ, and he plays the clown, kind of the guy that interacts with the audience. So that's a great show to see. David Copperfield is a great magic show in Las Vegas to see. There's so many great, and then I think that the best show in Las Vegas is Absinthe that season.
Yeah, I always wanted to visit that one.
It's very raunchy, but it's really, really good. It's really, really good.
Definitely.
Now the Mystere is still part of the Cirque du Soleil group, right?
It is, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, this is
you know what I
gotta show you guys. This is Leia Christiana. She was a former Raiderette. She also I met her at Valencia. Hold on a second. I saw her this year, but this is from January 12th of 2019. I'm gonna bring her the video in real quick of Leia. And there she is. She's also worked for Cirque du Soleil at the time. Just I believe had her baby. Anyway, here's Leia. This is Leia right here.
Hey, look who I found. Hey, Leia, how you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm really proud of this lady. She's just making it happen. She got married. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And she's got a great Instagram channel. And she's working with Valencel. And what else is happening?
Fourth year in a row.
Fourth year in a row. It's been 4 years.
Yeah.
And she's former Raiderette. And you competed.
I did. I competed. I won my IFBB Pro card.
She's a pro. You're a pro.
Yeah.
That's freaking great.
Thank you.
Hey, show us your guys. Yeah. That's a pro, folks. She's a pro. She's a pro. That's huge. I mean, no pun intended. But that's outstanding.
Thank you.
So stuff where you like.
So I just finished my last show with them after 7 years.
High five.
Thank you. Yeah. So now focusing more on like freelancing and just kind of seeing
Raiders,
what happens.
hire her. And not as a Raiderette. She was a Raiderette. But I'm saying she can help you sell.
Fitness and nutrition side
Right,
of it.
right. She can help you sell sweets too. Okay, she can help you sell sweets.
Just trying to get her a job.
She was a former Raiderette and in Oakland.
Yep, when they were in Oakland,
Yeah, right.
2003 to 2006. And they joined Cirque du Soleil, and now I'm freelancing and doing personal training and health coaching, specifically for people with autoimmune disease.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, I coach everyone, but that's kind of my target.
And you're on, this is new, isn't it? What's this?
No, this is the treadmill that we were on before.
Oh, this is, okay.
Yeah, from the last couple
Yeah, that
years.
was like, right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
but Valencel does all of the biometrics for wearables. So if you want to design a wearable and you want some really great biometrics working inside, they are the ones to go to.
Oh, sweet. It's great to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right.
Yeah, and I like I said, she's got a kid now, and I really feel, sorry for what they're going through, and hope that they come out of it. But it's just like I said, it's just been 10 years of great people and great fun and great events, and I hope it continues. We got to get it back. We got to get somehow.
Yeah.
Somehow. Oh, by the way, you're talking about buffets.
Yes.
All right.
What is your favorite? What would you say is the best buffet?
I pull and plug for this
Hey
one.
everybody, I'm at the Circus Buffet. Look at this. Yummy. Oh, look at that. Eggs.
Oh, I'm starving now. Oh,
Bacon.
no.
Sausage.
No. Oh,
Oh yes. Oh yes.
you know which buffet I hear is the best in Vegas is the Bellagio buffet.
Next.
Okay.
oh, really?
So
Spanish.
I've got a comment about that.
Okay.
Have this instead.
So
I'm so. This looks great.
who was this? What year was that, Zenny?
Oh, that was January 9th, 2019.
Yeah, they redid their whole buffet, right? It's actually very nice.
Oh.
Now, right? It went from kind of crap to being very nice, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, but now they've closed all the buffets now, right? I think.
Yeah, everything's closed. Like even like my hotels, like all of my hotels have provide complimentary breakfast, and we have free breakfast buffets. It's all shut down. The counties won't let us do it. So no breakfast for our guests.
You all were asking me about buffets, and but tell your story because I just realized I could do this and maybe get a list of buffets. I've been. Okay. But go ahead.
So Joseph was saying that people always say that the Bellagio buffet is the greatest buffet in Las Vegas. So myself and this gentleman named Marco D'Angelo, Marco D'Angelo is a friend of Chris Townsend. You in the Bay Area know Chris Townsend. And Marco D'Angelo is a guy in Vegas who does like a sports betting podcast. And so anyway, him and I were on a radio program a million years ago called Sports Overnight America. And we got into an argument about the best buffet in Las Vegas, and he said, you know, the Bellagio is the best buffet in Las Vegas. Well, I contend that the best buffet in Las Vegas is the Wynn. The Wynn buffet is incredible, and it is so good.
Ooh.
And one day, again, another Brian story here. One day, right after we were on the air with Marco D'Angelo, Ralph and I were going to be in Vegas the next week, so we had never tried the Bellagio buffet, and so I didn't really have a comparison for it to the Wynn, but I knew the Wynn was really good. So Ralph and I went to the Bellagio buffet, and we walked over there, and the line was crazy long. And so I asked one of the people who was working there. I said, "How long is this line?" And he said, "It's about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to get into the buffet." And Ralph and I were like, "No way, we're not waiting for an hour and a half to 2 hours." So we're hiking out of there. We're like, "We're out of here. We're gonna hightail it out of here. We're gonna go somewhere else and eat." So as we're going out of the casino, I noticed an area that says VIP entrance for the buffet. And I look and I notice there's nobody in line at this entrance. So this is the best, like, most Las Vegas story ever. So I look at Ralph and I said, "Hey, Ralph, I wonder what happens if we go in that line." The worst that can happen is they tell us to get the heck out of there, right? And at best, something good happens. So we walk into this VIP line, and we're walking through, and we're walking by all these people who we saw in the line in the regular line. We walk all the way through. We get to the very front, and there's a little rope. There's a little rope to stop you from going any further. There's a rope, and there's a lady who's working there at the Bellagio, and she's kind of like directing the people from the line to tell them, you know, what cash register to go to. I kid you not. Ralph and I walk up to the rope. Yeah, and so Ralph and I walk up to the rope, and this lady who's working at the Bellagio, she puts her hand up like this to the other people, not to me and Ralph. But stop. She says, "Stop," to these people who are waiting in line at the buffet, and she says, opens the little rope, and she says, "Okay, you two come over to register 6 with me." And so Ralph and I walk over to register 6, and we walk up with her, and she says to the cashier, she says, "Hey," whatever her name is, Susie, right? It's just, "Hey, these are the 2 gentlemen that we've been expecting." Okay. And so Ralph and I just kind of look at each other. The cashier goes, "Oh, okay, yes, sir," and types a few things. A receipt prints out. She hands it to us, and they see us. We didn't pay a dime. I have no idea who the 2 people were they were expecting. It wasn't me and Ralph, though. But it was a great buffet because we didn't pay anything. And the whole time, Ralph and I are sitting there going, "God, I hope those 2 guys don't show up who they're waiting for."
That's a great story.
That's awesome. Oh my God. It's like, let me see if I can find another. This is what I was going to, I met, you know where Fleur is in Mandalay Bay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is Hubert Keller, the owner. So I'm about to bring him up. I had the pleasure of interviewing him and meeting him and getting free dinner, courtesy of PR maven Karen Thomas, who's been a CES for years. This was one of my favorite places to go to, too. Fleur. I love Fleur.
I've never been.
Oh, so I'm honored to be with Hubert Keller, the owner of Fleur. We're here at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, and tell my viewers how this concept started.
And I want to note I got the accent in, okay?
Yeah,
I just got the accent.
I heard it.
In your mind.
I mean, the way the concept started, really, Fleur by Hubert Keller, right, which is a little bit different twist from Fleur de Lis in San Francisco, of course, which is a different kind of restaurants. Here in Las Vegas, Fleur is really, I would say, like a concept. I don't like to use the word tapas because otherwise people would think it's more like Spanish. It's what I really developed here is a menu which is inspired from places that I used to live, places that I travel. So it's really like small plates, small bites from around the world.
but there's a passion in your cooking and food and flavor. And how do you communicate that to your chefs to make sure that's brought out? It's very impressive.
The way it's brought out, it's actually not too complicated. I have Laurent Pilar, which is my corporate chef that lives with me now for years and years, right? And even started the original Fleur de Lis here.
Yeah.
So I think our minds are the same. We're sharing the same ideas. He thinks the way I think. So on a daily basis, Laurent is always here, right, to transmit really the idea of a dish, the flavor of a dish, the presentation of a dish. And myself and Laurent, of course, we're working extremely close when we're developing a dish from a different country. And also Laurent has the same background that I did have, except he's a bit younger, but he started the Tour de France in France, then worked in England, then went to Australia, then worked in Asia. So he really was traveling around the world like I used to do when I was younger. And so again, we're sharing.
You still got the energy. You're Vegas. You're all over.
But it's also the whole idea, right? That we're really sharing the same ideas and the understanding from an Asian flavor, from a Southern Italian flavor. It's very important.
Now, everybody here has their favorites, but when you tell a person who's coming for the first time, what do you want them to try? What's your secret?
I think I love all my dishes I have on the menu, right? But it's almost like when you have several children, there's always one of your favorites.
Well, I'm a bachelor. I'm laughing about it.
I shouldn't say that, but that's what
I say several girlfriends. I didn't say that. It's like, wait a
But I must say, we have like the tuna tacos that I really totally love. Right? The tuna tacos is a great dish. Definitely something that people want to come to Fleur, they should try it. We have the little cushy oysters with the little tequila sorbet on it, which is definitely a must. We have the onion velouté, which is like an onion soup, but has nothing to do with what we expect as an onion soup, with a little truffle flavored also. And then he goes really off to either a shabu shabu, or you can have a duck breast, which is like typical, like with an orange sauce, like from France. So my God, we have so many. We have about 60 different dishes on the menu, right? And then for the ones who really are like lovers and really in a matter of having a steak, just right? Yes. We even offer a tomahawk. And tomahawk is a great kind of meat that actually can be shared between 4 people, but it can easily be eaten by one person too. So it goes from small bites to a couple of main courses, right? For example, there's also pico I have on the menu here, which is really great dish. I have some shrimps with also pasta, which is made in a paella style, in the Spanish style.
Yeah.
So with the chorizo. So that's another dish. You name it. All my babies.
What I like about this venue, this place, is it's like sitting in your living room. Is that the intent? Is that?
I think it's
nice place.
Right.
Love it.
When you're sitting at Fleur, the restaurant, I think you have to feel like you're almost sitting in somebody's home, right? And there's no intimidation. There is no apprehension. What I should do, what I cannot do, what I should order. Did I order the right wine? Did I order? Is the chef going to yell at me if I have a cocktail with my pickles? Absolutely not. So I think the whole idea.
He's got a great sense of humor.
Thanks, man.
Really to come in, to have a good time, to discover. It's basically a journey, right? And then again, it's something you can order 2 courses, you can order 3 courses. As the event goes, as the evening evolves, if you really have room between another course or 2 courses, you can order another one. So it's really at the moment the way you feel, and there's no intimidation, no what the chef likes to do and what the chef wants you to eat and the way you eat it. None about that. It's just we're cooking for you, and then when we usually use the word like tapas.
Yes.
Here I was more describing like a little tasting menu, like we have before in restaurant. So every little dish, every little plate is executed in details, in presentation, in flavors. So it's almost like a tasting menu, except you are in control of how many courses you want to eat. And if you want to eat only 3 courses, it's totally fine. If you want to expand to 5, 6, 7 courses, and the whole idea is also to share with your friends or with your companion and whoever you're with.
And I'm into expanding. And I know you're having dinner with your family. It's an honor. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for helping me tell your story.
And please come see us in Las Vegas.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, that was I played that all the way because that was a treat, and it's one of those things about Vegas that I like because, particularly with what I do, I get a chance to meet a lot of and tell their stories, a lot of really interesting people, and that's what hurts about what we're going through is I think about like he's a restaurateur. We know he and other restaurateurs are hurting.
Yeah.
And that's why I played that, because it's like in a normal situation, it's a luxury place, and you're thinking, God, can I afford this dish? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, I heard an interview just the other day with John Taffer. John Taffer, he's the guy from the Bar Rescue Show, and he was interviewed, and he's kind of like an expert in the field of restaurants and stuff. And he goes, when restaurants come back, the thing that's gonna, when things start to come back and people, the stay-at-home orders are released and people start to go out again, people are gonna think about different things than they thought before. They're gonna think like, how clean is this restaurant? Are they using the proper sanitation techniques? That's going to be what restaurants are going to have to promote to instill a sense of trust in people, rather than just, hey, that place has a great burger. I think that's a
great point, because even around here, there's a guy on CBS 46, and he has made this fame by going to restaurants that have bad reviews. I don't mean like Yelp reviews. I mean actual bad grades by the health department.
Yeah.
And he'll walk in on, he had this pattern at first where it seemed like everybody who was walking on was like non-white. I kind of thought, dude, and then he kind of corrected himself. But but it's always, the reactions are always wild. And I figured out that informs me in a way that I haven't seen before, how to judge a restaurant. Check its health score. Things that I normally don't think about. For example, I was in Buckhead, was it last year before, and I came back from this event, and I passed by this burger joint that had a kind of an angry burger. This was the name. And they had 18 different types of burgers, and they're like grindhouse burgers. It was good, but it never occurred to me to check the health score. The health score is good, but I'm just saying, you're right. Just to go on what you're saying, cleanliness is going to be and what John Tapper is saying is going to be a bigger issue. It's just that with Vegas, and I think what bothers me with so much of our economy, I think what we need to do too is really work on building the manufacturing side of our economy. Because when I was growing up, in particular, because I think I'm older than all of you two, manufacturing.
I'm very young, very young.
How old are you? 47.
I'm going to be 47 in about 2 weeks.
See, I'm 57.
Okay.
And Joseph is 46, right?
45.
Well, close. Okay, 45. Yeah. So I mean, we're all in the same ballpark. So anyway, but I think we're all old enough to remember when manufacturing was king and America was king, right?
Well, and that's, if I could pony back on that real quick, is that before I got on, when I was hearing both of you on YouTube, was if you think about Vegas, what's their cottage industry is fantasy and show, and are people really going to want to do that after this whole virus situation?
What do you think?
And because you guys were tying it into why the revenues aren't there for the stadium, because this is a state, and specifically a city, whose cottage industry is based on entertainment and fantasy. And that's the last thing people are thinking about right now.
I don't think it's. I think that it's. I think you're right. But I think that the other thing that they're going to have to somewhat overcome is that I think that even though it's been a relatively short amount of time, what, a month or a month and a half or whatever, the shelter in place orders have been in place. I think that when the shelter in place orders are released and people are free to go out and do the things that they normally do, I think it's going to be a while before people are even comfortable being around other people. Like, because the social distancing, you can't social distance in the theater in Vegas. I mean, you're packed in there, So I think people are going to have second thoughts about that kind of thing. I don't think it's just about, do they not want to be entertained? I think people are going to be like, oh man, I don't want to sit next to another person. Like, they might have, they might have the virus, I think it's going to be like that.
Or you think about the movie theater industry. There's AMC that's potentially going bankrupt.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that AMC may be gone out of business. Like, they're not going to make it. There's going to be people. We need to check on everybody. People that we know, friends, family, because there are going to be people who are not going to come out of this okay.
No, no, you're right. I have a friend who's she's worked in sponsorship business for years. People person, bubbly, and having a hard time being by herself in her apartment in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of people like her. They're not used to being inside. They're used to being at events. They're social people, the social butterfly, right?
Yeah.
And you got to check on them. A lot of those folks, if you think about it, a lot of those people who are that way are in the hospitality business.
I mean, like I'm in the hospitality business because I like taking care of people, and I've been in the hotel business for a long time. But I started in the hotel business in 2000. Prior to that, I was actually a craps dealer in Reno, and so I love hospitality and being around people. That's why you're in that business, because you like to be around people and take care of people. And it's hard because you're not out with everybody and you're not able to socialize. And I'm obviously a pretty social person, and so it does make it difficult. But I mean, I'm okay. But I know that there's a lot of people who aren't. There's a lot of people who have lost their jobs. They have, they're trying to go through the processes of filing for unemployment. They've never had to do this kind of stuff before, and it's very difficult. And so I just want that to be a point that we need to really make sure that we're
absolutely
our friends, our neighbors, everybody, people that we care about, because there are people who this are not going to be okay, and things are not going to be when they open up. When they release some of the stay-at-home orders, there's going to be people that don't have a job, that aren't going to be able to go out and do the things that maybe they used to do. So I just want everyone to, kind of keep that, in the back of their mind.
I'm glad you said that, because I want people to lean on their Congress people. Because, for example, I'm a Democrat, but I was very disappointed that my party decided to hold up funds because it wasn't going to the hospitals as much as they thought it should. And my thought is, wait a minute, that's going to get there. You got people right now who are immediately suffering, who, if they need to go to a hospital, the hospital's overcrowded. But how about make sure they have enough money to get just basic medical supplies in their house?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And make sure they get money first. If they have the business, make sure they get business. If they have a small business, like there are millions of independent contractors, make sure they get help first. So it's like we forgot, as Democrats, we're so busy playing politics, that if the Congress people, if their coin was threatened, they wouldn't act the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to make them feel the heat and say, in a good way, and say, you know what? You have to get it together. Brandon Whiteley has an interesting comment just now. He writes, look for there to be heavy restrictions on the amount of people sitting at gaming tables. Instead of a traditional 6-spot table, you will have 3 customers at a table. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Brand? Guys, you think,
I agree. I was thinking about this the other day. Ralph and I we're big Disneyland people. We have Disney passes and we love to go to Disneyland. And I was thinking about this the other day.
I do too.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Yeah. I love Disneyland. And so we were actually there on their last operating day. before all this happened. And that was
March 15th, right?
It was weird. It was really weird. There was hardly anybody there. There was no lines for anything. It was very, very strange to be there. But I think about like what he's saying. Instead of 6 people, is Disneyland. They have to limit the number of people that they allow in at the beginning. Will they have to cut off the attendance when people go in? Are people going to be weird when they're in line? I mean, it's going to be a very strange thing when this. Even though it's like I said, it's been a relatively short amount of time. I still think it's going to be a very strange thing. Going to the grocery store, are you still going to be standing back from that person in front of you in line? It's going to be very awkward, very awkward.
And talking about Disneyland, think about, like as you mentioned, the queues. Think about how packed those lines are, and what's going to happen with that. I mean, how can you conceivably have a park open and keep social distancing in place? Because people are going to be hesitant. And you think about when they have the fireworks show, they have the parades. People are as much as I do. I having to pass myself. People are clamored.
Yep.
I mean, you're like inches within people.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys think about this, but I don't think it's a good idea to release us before we have at least some type of vaccine.
Something.
Because we're going to push people out there with this social distancing edict. They're going to have all these crazy occurrences, like this lady that beat up some guy because she felt that he wasn't following social distancing. I know that myself. I made a video I haven't put up yet about being in the grocery store, concerned about some people getting close to you. And I have to say, it's like a lot of them are more focused a little like me in the store. That like there was one lady, I don't know what was going on with her, but it's like she wanted to get close.
Yeah.
And it happened 3 times in the store. And she's here, coming this way, and she tries to stand next to me, and I bolted away. And I'm thinking, first of all, we're not supposed to be doing that, so why do it?
Yeah, people just don't care.
It's it changes your behavior. It's like, wow.
It's weird. I mean, things that you never thought about before. Like I was at the grocery store yesterday, and a person, like literally, I was in the coffee aisle. And a person comes up to me. It was this woman. She was an elderly lady, and she comes up to me, and she's like tapping me on the shoulder and grabbing my arm. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like what in the heck? And she goes, "Can you help me? I need to know, are these beans in the package of the ground, or are they being?" She didn't mean anything bad by it, but I said, and I was like, I felt kind of bad that I was helping her, but I was like, oh my gosh, like before I never would have thought of that. I never would have thought anything about it, right? Like, oh, hey, whatever.
And it's a natural thing, It's like I even here I try to make sure I hug my mom because I don't want to. And it's important to let your mom know and but other people say, well, I don't want to infect my mother and all that. And we were talking about that. Both my mother. I mean, I'm thinking, what about the fact that if it's your parents, your same DNA, does that account for anything?
Yeah.
Or there is the fact about the immune system, and we have sanitizer. I may have mentioned this before on the show, but I went to the NFL Combine. I had sanitizer with me. That was before this started. I've been a sanitizer freak, so we have tons of stuff around here. But I also worry about. I worry about those who don't have, and I worry about looting. And I don't think we're thinking this thing through, and acting fast enough. And I know I'm glad that President Obama came through and endorsed Joe Biden, because when I realized how happy I was, because I feel like, now we're finally going to get some competence. In fact,
Yeah.
We got a chance because Barack's involved. Because people forgotten, and I think
how about Michelle for VP?
How
about Michelle for VP?
Sounds great to me. I think.
Well, let me ask you. I don't think there's any.
I
just want to make this more quick point, Joseph. Is that I'll say very quickly. Richard Dreyfuss, in my interview, said this 8 years ago. I'm going to play this, and I think it's worth playing since I love this. I consider this sort of a toy now. This is really great because I can show you things. But it was Richard Dreyfuss that turned me and my viewership onto this problem. a long time ago. This was 9 years ago. And here, folks, is the legendary. I'm not going to play the whole 10 minutes of it out of respect, but this is a legendary Richard Dreyfuss from Jaws talking about, among other things, I'm going to fast forward to it, the problem of civics not being taught in school. And
I just talked to Andrea Montemici. We talked about your mother. I have to say, okay, again.
That's my friend Marla. She introduced me to Richard. So she's.
It's on 3325 Grand Avenue. Rod Dibbles been at the piano since 1963. And I always wanted to see it. He knows it by heart.
We were talking about the Jaws song, but I'm going to fast forward to where the point was.
And that's how you went to the kitchen. Let's go back.
Where is this?
Someone said to me, "You want to hear the music?" And I said, "They haven't written it yet." He said, "I know."
He's talking about the music.
And
is either this footage? I thought it was this.
I'm really involved in this to get civics.
There it is. That's it. That's it. Right here. This was 9 years ago.
Everyone has Dick Cheney inside.
So what do you have going on now, professionally, acting-wise?
I'm doing some segments of preparing. I'm really involved in this to get civics.
Tell me the name of your organization.
It's called dreyfusinitiative.org. And we had our first national .org, right? We had our first internet conversation with probably the most respectable panel in 40 years.
And his point was that we don't teach civics in school. You know, and that was 9 years ago. We stopped teaching it. People don't understand how the government works. And that's what that's the point Richard was trying to make, is that we don't, and it's manifested itself to a point where we have a person in office who had no government experience. And so we get into the biggest crisis, the mother of all crises, and he doesn't know how to pull the right levers of government.
Mm-hmm.
But Gavin does, because Gavin's been in government, for a long time, right? He's been mayor of something, right?
Yeah.
And he basically looks like the president. Gavin could run for president and get elected out here in Georgia. Serious.
Yeah.
That's, So I hope that we come away from this with appreciation and a demand that people understand their government, how it works.
Mm-hmm. I also think,
and I think that's intentionally done, because what's the primary objective there is to keep the masses ignorant as possible.
Yeah.
But to our mutual detriment, though. I don't think it's a good idea that everybody be ignorant. You're going to say something, Brian? Sorry about that.
I was just going to say that I also think that one thing that I'm going to take out of this, I'm never going to take for granted that guy who's at the grocery store putting green beans on the shelf or stocking the produce aisle ever. The cashier at the store, and never again. Not that I did before, but subconsciously you just don't really think about it. Boy, I'm going to really think about that every time I'm in the store. Man, thank goodness someone.
I think about it, I think about it, but also I have to, because my mom is 85, and I just have to say it. The Kroger on Banks Road, some of the folks are disrespectful to elder folks, and in this instance, some of them are not wearing masks or gloves. And so my mother rightly asked, "Hey, how come you're not wearing a mask or a glove?" And whatever happened, I think it was an exchange. I walked in, I had to discourage my mom from calling a name, but she insists on going to that Kroger rather than the other Kroger. Another long story, because she says, I know this one, and mom doesn't like the lock. Mom, I understand what she's saying.
Yeah.
But I have twice wrote letters to that store, in emails to the CEO of Kroger to say, hey, can you get this together? And I may have to do a third one. It's unfortunate to do that, this time. Anyway, hey folks, it's 2:00, 2:04. I've got
it's getting late here.
Yeah. This is 3 hours, 3 minutes and counting.
Oh boy.
Almost 4 hours. My God.
I did want to add something before we go.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Well, yeah, we have. Go ahead, Joseph. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about potentially people not being free to go out until we maybe potentially find a cure. Now, I don't know if you read recently, I think up in Silicon Valley, there's an AI company called Benevolent AI that's working with Eli Lilly. And what they have discovered was they found not necessarily a cure, but what they found was some treatments based on their research that will eliminate the symptoms almost instantaneously. And what I heard is that a doctor in Los Angeles, got that as a trial drug.
Wait, say this again.
If you want to look it up, it's Benevolent AI and Eli Lilly.
Benevolent
AI.
AI.
Yes.
Like artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And Eli.
And so the article read that there's certain things which I can't pronounce what these things were that causes some of the infection, but it eliminated that from developing. And basically by eliminating. Okay, go ahead.
No, keep talking. This is good. Keep talking.
Oh no! So basically, what it was that I wish I had the article in front of me. I only have my phone, but there's a certain. I want to say an antibody, but there's a certain.
Can you see that, Joseph?
Yes, virus that creates an illness, and this was basically masking that from developing and actually affecting the body as bad as it does.
This is by Mike Butcher, just came out today in TechCrunch, and it reads: a Benevolent AI startup which has raised $292 million to apply artificial intelligence to create drugs faster today, says it has uncovered an already approved drug as a potential treatment for COVID-19 after it applied its AI platform and team to the problem. The revelation, which has now appeared in peer-reviewed scientific journals and has entered clinical trials with a major pharmaceutical company, could offer a glimmer of hope to a world locked down by the pandemic. In February, Benevolent AI set up a specialist scientific team and launched an investigation using its discovery drug platform. Baroness Joanna Shields, CEO of Benevolent AI. Stop. I love that name. Okay, I just have to get that out there. Explain. I mean, it's not Elizabeth. It's not Elizabeth Holmes, thankfully, right? All right. I had to throw that in there. I'm sorry. Explain. In response to the COVID-19 global health emergency, we turn our AI drug discovery and development platform toward understanding the body's response to this novel infectious disease. Key to their approach was that, quote, rather than focusing solely on drugs that could affect the virus directly, we explored ways to inhibit the cellular process that the virus uses to infect human cells. And so there you go. This is a long article. I'm not going to, it's got diagrams and everything else. What I'm looking for is the kicker, which is, hey, when does this all come to a head? And it kind of doesn't really say, but
the article did read that they're already going into trials late April.
But okay, so I have to read this and absorb it so I can make a vlog and explain it, shorter. But thanks for bringing this to our collective attention.
Yes.
Yeah. I like this system, like StreamYard, can bring all this stuff and everything. And all right, folks, I'm supposed to get on a conference call. Hello? Was that me or was that something? Maybe that bump was somebody.
I didn't hear anything.
I didn't hear anything. No.
All right. Anyway, 3 hours and 28 minutes later.
And we're still here.
I bid everybody good night. I'll see you.
Thanks, Zinni.
Hey, thank you.
Good night.
Okay,
good night.
Thanks, folks. Good night, everybody. I'm right. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night all. Thanks, Joseph. I'll see you.
Okay. All right.